Welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. I'm here with the crew. Got B Nix,
Al Chip.
Tawana,
Hey y'all.
Anton,
What up, though?
and myself, J.I. Welcome, welcome. I feel like it's been a while since we met, since we last had a discussion.
Has it?
I don't know. It seemed like it has. I feel like I ain't seen you guys in a while. Well, I've seen you guys Saturday, but
I was like, we just saw each other. I feel like it was like a recent thing right before the city is shut down, right?
yeah, it's about to shut down again, which is a tragedy. I know Anton asked about it. He sent me messages, sending me these reminders like, "Hey, you guys about to shut down? Oh,
Mhm.
that's messed up. That's messed up." I'm like,
It is.
it is
Couldn't
what
even
it
show
is.
Anton a good time because the city was shut down, right? The city was closed.
Unfortunate.
Can't even
Yeah, I know, man. That'd be my last time out, man. Until like
move
what,
around Chicago.
2021? Hey,
Yeah,
we probably won't see each other till spring,
yeah.
like in person. Or we could kick it outdoors, right?
Hmm.
Like seriously, spring
It's
or
gonna be cold
summer.
outside. We probably go ice skating or something like that.
Nah, man, I know my limitations. I ain't like, hey, my ankles ain't the way they used to be. I'm good on that.
You can take the kids. It's not about you, B Nick. It's about the kids.
Yeah, you're right. I have like, no, my godmama take them. I think I'm playing. I'm
There.
cool on that.
All right, y'all. Let's get this show rolling. So on our previous shows, it probably been about 5 or 6 shows ago. We talked about Tamar and David's situation, and there's a video that actually came out today that I'm gonna play for you guys.
Listen, let me tell you something, Tamara. I am a survivor of a domestic violence relationship. And not at any point was David and I in an abusive
He
relationship.
says you videotaped it and that you threatened to
No,
show.
I voice recorded it. He videotaped it. He has a camera in his car.
Does that video or your voice recording show any physical abuse?
No, it doesn't. I mean, he showed him text messages and between he and I.
But nothing that substantiates. You say what?
No,
which is
he has the videotape. He has it. It was in his car. Release it. No, let me tell you something, Tamara. I loved David. He was my best friend. He was an amazing, amazing partner. He was my son's best friend as well. They were best friends. And it's just so hard because through everything else, I never expected this from him. Now, I have to be real with myself. Is he acting like this because he found me the way that he found me? Probably. I don't know.
we're going to let you get yourself together.
Well, our topic is one story, two sides. One story, two sides. And we had this discussion about a couple months ago, and we was just talking about how everybody in the comments were just saying, "Oh, he's lying. He's trying to play the victim role. Um, he's just trying to use her." And we just had this big discussion about men being victims and people not acknowledging it. This plays right into that situation in our topic, which is one story, two sides. Now we get the other side of the story that came out. Hey, Tawan, I want to start with you first. Did you believe David's story when it first came out, and how did you feel about Tamar's statement?
Well, I watched the entire interview. I disagree with what you said, by the way. I need to make that a disclaimer that I feel that Tamar has received just as much backlash regarding her personality on the show, her being aggressive, her being more of an antagonist. And that entire interview session was about the fact that that's her role in these reality TV shows and that she kind of brings that energy to herself. So I absolutely disagree that it was one-sided and that people were just attacking David. That wasn't true. However, secondly, I feel like that David's story was not believable to me. Not like 100% believable as far as like, oh, he was attacked. And like, I think that it was off a reality TV stunt. And I don't trust reality TV. I honestly feel like they do things to entice us and, to make us believe, that these things are happening. I saw her reality show. David is a very assertive man. He's a very strong man. He stands up for his beliefs. He doesn't seem to be somebody that's a pushover that would just be kind of like, and I don't even know if I'm wanting to say that word. I feel like he doesn't seem like he would just tolerate any type of abuse from anyone. So I don't believe his story. Absolutely. Now, I watched Tamar's interview and I just feel like there was some things that she still needs to work on. There's some healing she still needs to do.
Like that bad acting that she was doing?
It was really not convincing to me. I don't want to say that she's lying because I don't know that for sure. Okay, I don't know that for sure. I do believe that she was being honest about the fact that she wasn't physically abusive to David. And I do believe that he was dramatizing that situation. I think they were in an altercation and the argument got out of hand, but I don't believe that it was the cause, like him going and filing domestic violence charges and doing all that, getting a police report. Like, I feel like that's an abuse of the system. That's my opinion.
Let's Tawana, if this is flipped around and the guy said, "Oh, she's just being dramatic. She's just overdoing it," like the women wouldn't be having it. So I just don't get that when you say that he was just being dramatic. He was just telling his side of the story. And
there are some women who are dramatic. It's just more times than not that it's not true.
I think he was just telling the story. That's just my opinion. Hey, Nick, did you believe David's story when it first came out? And how do you feel about Tamar's statements?
I'll be honest, I didn't care about neither. But I mean, I don't know. I just looked at it like I always look at it as their perspective, his point and her point. I mean, I don't know. I feel like, in some cases, there are always things that happens behind the scenes. I always feel like it's three sides to the story, so it's like, I don't know. I mean, even with, the clip you showed with her, it's like.
Three sides. What three sides? What are the three sides?
Her side, his side, and then the truth.
Okay.
And maybe always lead with the fact that people aren't forthcoming about the truth already. Mm-hmm. I think I do naturally look at things from the lens that my wife always talks about a half truths, right? So it's not necessarily a lie, but there's aspects of the story that you are telling the truth.
Right.
Just aspects of the truth. You're only telling the truthful part. You're not telling the fabricated part. So, I mean, for me, I think I looked at both sides. It was just more so like, oh, okay, it's their opinion. I think from her perspective, I get, folks, the world we live in, folks want to do this road show and, talk about their perspective and, a very, very special episode to talk about something that's intimate. But it's kind of hard to say. I think her presentation was hard to believe. And not to say there was I want to be clear, there wasn't the content, but the presentation of it, the fake tears or the crying with no tears, or I don't know, maybe after the surgery, she's not able to cry. Maybe her tear ducts don't work. I don't know. It just looked kind of difficult for her to do whatever she's trying to do. But yeah, well, just based on the clip. But I think that, I don't know, it becomes the world that we live in right now. I think that society forces us to pick a side, and you're trying to do that right now with us, JR, how you lay it in with the question like, well, who do you believe? I was like, it's a perspective. Both of them have their own version of what they think has happened.
Was any of us there?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't listen to both still has not changed. Like, no one mentioned anything like, oh, this new evidence that was just disclosed. I didn't feel that way. And I feel like she didn't really talk about anything either. I don't think it's necessarily about like, how much, not to say they didn't love or care about each other or whatever, but here we are. And then I think it's at a point where like, are things reconcilable? I think that would be my bigger conversation is like, hey, can it be resolved? Are we at a point where when situations happen, are we able to resolve it, or we just be like, all right, I quit. I can't do this. This is over.
That's like another conversation. The point that I wanted to try to leave with this is that a lot of times we hear a story and we do side with one of them, and often there's another side. And I know specifically, I've heard Anton mention this before, that we have to hear both sides. So I believe that plays a lot in relationships, a lot of like decisions when it comes to the election that's coming up. I just think that we have to understand that there's always, two sides to a situation. And even though we don't know a lot of information about what happened with their particular story, I do think that it's good to hear, and we can apply this to everything else that's going on within our lives, but it's good to hear that when he came out to tell his story, a lot of people were saying he's playing victim. So to actually hear her and to confirm that his story was true, I think that it just brought life to the situation.
What did she confirm that his story was true?
Well, they was bashing him when he was coming out saying that he was the one that was abused. And during that conversation, I know we was talking about how often that men are abused with the Joe Budden situation, with the Tory Lanez and Megan situation. And again, we don't know all the facts, but we're so quick to judge, based off the norm. So if a woman says she's abused, and even with the system, it's automatically believes that the woman is right. But when it comes to the male, if he says it, then he's canceled. And
None of those situations did the women claim that they were abused. Megan did not claim that she was abused.
Well, it was a form of abuse, is what I'm saying. So even if it's
Joe
not
Budden,
all the time,
baby mama, they never claimed to be abused.
She missing a point. She's narrow-minded.
I'm not.
So she can't understand the point that you're making.
Actually,
go ahead, continue what you were saying.
You guys are not open-minded and not
how so?
Listening to both perspectives.
I've listened to both perspectives, and I'm not saying that nobody's right, but the point that I was trying to make.
Your point is specifically saying something that's not true, though. That's all I'm saying.
I'm saying what the people are doing. I'm not saying what they're doing. I'm just saying the whole perception overall. What.
But your perception of David's explanation isn't true, though, because David was also seen as justified in filing the complaint, and a lot of people backed him up and supported that because they felt that Tamar was overly aggressive, and they felt like her persona on the show justified that. And then and the entire interview, she talked about how people bashed her because of that. So I just don't agree with that. That's all I'm saying.
Well, we don't have the actual numbers over the entire universe as far as who was in favor of David and who not. The point that I was trying to highlight is that, to me, you guys can agree or disagree, but to me, it seems as though the norm is that even when you call the police, they're more likely to believe the woman over the man. And so that's what I'm trying to highlight, that not all the time is the man the aggressor. Sometimes it is the women that are the aggressor and the man is the victim. But in the society that we live in today, it's kind of hard to see that. So that's the point that I'm trying to make. Not that I'm saying that people didn't believe what David was saying. I'm just saying, like in our last discussion, it was the topic was, are men ever victims when it comes to abuse? And that's what we were talking about. We could easily talk about women because it happens all the time, but I think it's not enough light shine on the male when it comes to him being a victim. All right, Anton, I want to bring it to you. When you first heard David's story, how did you feel? Did you believe David? And how did you feel about Tamar's statements?
Again, I felt like it was a bad acting job. It almost was making me laugh just to see the presentation, as B-Nix indicated. But secondly, I don't know a guy in my entire life that has ever went and filed a police report based off of something happening to him from a domestic dispute as far as being involved in a woman falsely. I have never, ever heard of it. I've never seen it. So with that being said, I have no choice, especially when we trying to have this conversation based off this patriarchal system, right? In which women are the underlings and they've always been the victims, right? So the narrative has always been created to, if a woman says something, believe her. That's the default, reaction in society, and the way that I think that's been perpetuated for us to believe. I have no reason to think otherwise, that if he takes out the time to actually go and file to say that this happened to me, I don't see why I wouldn't believe him. But like I said, the fact that we even have a conversation based off of whether or not he's believable or not from the get-go shows the double standard by which men have to subject themselves in a society where we're advocating for equal and fair treatment across the board. I think it's a hypocritical point of view for any woman to take a stance to evaluate whether or not they believe a man that files this charge and then say that they support equal treatment for women. It's one of the most hypocritical things that a woman can do in this state and day and age in which they're advocating for all of these rights that would put them on par with men.
Hey, B. Nix, I want to ask you, have you ever been in a situation where you haven't considered the other side, the other truth? Like, has there ever been a situation where you heard a story and you just automatically believe like the truth was right there? You didn't look further ahead to understand if that was the other side or not?
Do it matter which side I'm looking at, or you was just saying in general? I don't know if I'm gonna answer this question, but I think it's a part of me. Like,
what else is new?
It's the truth, though. I mean, as a man, I do feel like men do get, judged already. Just because it's slated toward, men being the abuser, just because, as far as size and aggressiveness. But I think there's cases where I don't want to believe it. If I do hear it about a man, but it's, I think it goes back to like how somebody is provoked. I think that's the part where I really don't even like situations like this, because it's like we never know all the facts.
Right.
We never will. To me, facts, only people that truly know are the people that are in that relationship, that are in that situation. Like how she was talking about a camera in a car, which is weird, to have a camera inside your car. But at the same time, it's like, well, only they truly knew, like what's going on. So now we're just speculating.
Well, he was recording with his phone and she was voice recording. So
yeah, but it gets to the point where like it's already, and I'm not trying to I know we used the word toxic in the past. It becomes one of those like, why are you in a situation where you feel you got to record, Right. Because if it's at that point where I feel like I got to record my partner, to me, it's like it's guilt on both sides. But
how's it
I mean,
guilt on both sides if you feel like you got to record?
Because both was recorded. If you feel like, for your own protection. But why be with somebody that you feel that?
How does that emphasize guilt just because you record it?
Well, guilt for staying. I think like people feel different types of guilt. If you stay, it's like, do you feel like, am I guilty by staying with this person, even though I'm still fearful of this person? A lot of people do stay in relationships that it's out of guilt, that they feel like they don't want to leave, or should they leave, or should they not?
So if a woman stays in an abusive relationship, is she guilty?
Well, see, you're misplacing the level of guilt, like self-blame. Say it again.
No, I'm asking, how does guilt equate to somebody enduring through whatever situation that they feel like they're enduring through? How does that equate? That makes no sense to me.
That's not what he was saying, but I understand Anton's point. That's not what B. Nix was saying.
So what is he saying?
I'm saying like guilt out of you have guilt because you want it to work. You feel like you didn't do something right, or that I am causing this. I'm the reason why I'm being treated like this. It's almost like the victimization of it, where you do have guilt of being the victim, that I did something wrong. That's why I'm being abused. And that goes on both sides, both men and women. So,
but it still don't make sense, because
it's not about if it doesn't make sense to you. It's a reality, though.
Yeah.
People do stay in relationships.
If I start recording something, then how does that equate to a level of guilt, even if you looking at it from the perspective of I feel guilt because of my part in it? how does me recording equate to that?
Well, I think the point I was trying to make, the fact that you're in a situation where you feel you have to record. That's where I was going with that point, where why are you in a relationship you feel you got to record anyway?
I mean, but that's an easy question because
It's not easy because if it easy, they wouldn't be in a relationship.
Y'all have to understand they're on reality TV. Like we're sitting here.
Similar to what you said in the very beginning of your narrative.
David is cloud chasing.
History has taught us that men that are not proactive and protect themselves are subjected to anything that a woman says. So what I look at that situation is him being proactive and protecting himself because he will be subjected if she decides to spin the narrative or change it or paint the picture a specific type of way, he's going to be castrated, canceled, and treated a certain type of way. And that's what
I agree. And the thing is, but I said that earlier, Anton, where I said, like, that's what I do feel like as a man, it is slanted toward men. And JR asked me, hey, is there times where you don't want to believe the other side? You don't I don't want to believe that side, that the man is always the aggressor. Now, I think I said that when I first started talking. So don't try to make it seem like it's not.
And I don't believe that all the time.
You don't believe what all the time?
That the man is the aggressor. It's very, it's not always the truth. I've seen situations.
Yeah, because, I mean, we're basing this.
Is the aggressor, and I've seen them be arrested.
Could we basing this off of like very anecdotal information? Oh, this person, he's bigger than me. Because he's bigger than me, he's perceived as being more aggressive than me, and he's stronger than me. And because he's stronger than me, that he could do more things to me because I can't do that to him. And then that's the end of the argument. Because
it's more believable because of strength, because of the body size, because of whatever. It's more.
So that's the part that makes it wrong.
That doesn't mean that it's not happening and that it doesn't exist. I feel like I've seen, and unlike Anton, like you haven't seen that. I've seen women who have been arrested for domestic violence situations. I've seen women who have history and violence in their background. They continue to date men, and this continues to be the same cycle.
But that's not the.
And my clarity about the guilt thing,
because we're not talking about clear-cut cases here. We're not talking about women
that
have a history of domestic violence or there's clear.
Not even that they have a history, but
we talking about the court of public opinion. That was the narrative and the question that was asked based off of JR, and that there's always two sides to a story. And history has taught us that men historically catch the bad end of the stick, especially when the case isn't clear cut, especially when she doesn't necessarily have a history of domestic abuse or is not clear that she very clearly.
I get that. I don't think none of us are in disagreement of that, so you don't have to reiterate the point.
The narrative that we having a conversation about is how there's always two sides to a story. And the part that we haven't talked about is the fact that when there is clarification or when there is a new side of the story that's revealed, nobody goes back and say, you know what, I played that wrong, or you know what, I shouldn't have said that. Nobody goes back and delete their posts where they said something negative about somebody and fix it, or they killed somebody's reputation, or they want to cancel somebody. They just move on, and that's unfortunate. It's negative. That's something that I would paint as toxic, and I think that overwhelmingly men catch the bad end of the stick when it comes to that.
It's public perception. That stuff still lives outside of the courtroom, though.
Public perception is based off of history, and historically, women have always claimed that this has happened to them. More importantly, they've been highlighted as it happening to them. So it's not just something that's
reported more often.
Going back to
something that's just
it's reported more often than men. That's the
because I mean, Anton, you mentioned this point.
It is reported more often.
It's not just reported. For example, you don't see as much.
That's not an opinion.
You don't see as much news coverage of men getting released from prison as a result of a woman lying on them as you do as the person that lies on them and says he did this to me. There's a very clear narrative that's painted in the media because the story is more sensational when you can castrate the men versus the men being vindicated as a result of the lie being cleared.
So we need to
hear the lies being cleared as much as you.
Well, I mean, but that's the thing, Anton. Is one of those like. So I mean, the matter at hand, we're talking about more so. Are we talking about the legal system? Or are we talking about you mentioned about public court?
We talking about
social media.
Social media.
Nowadays, you can't separate the legal system from the public court because
Yes, you can.
it's so much more influenced, considering that we have social media, that we have a court of public opinion, that everything is broadcasted. Every time
y'all need to stop giving it so much energy.
Somebody goes
so
to
much
court,
power.
they show it on TV. Like, the court of public opinion plays into what's happening in the legal system today. You can't.
Well, we're the ones who give it power.
Yeah, I was about to say these are things that's beyond the.
Which means
that's not the fault of any legal system. Like,
and say that I'm toxic. I'm creating this narrative in society that says this is how we operate. However,
Did you say toxic
what
was
we're not doing,
what
we're not doing is taking accountability for our actions and the role that we're playing in creating this narrative that paints me in negative and doesn't tell the second side of the story.
Yeah, that's the topic.
One
story, two sides.
David was the first
it's
side.
3 sides, man.
Tamar was the second
a total of
side.
3 sides, but yeah,
that's the truth, in which we still truly would not know the actual truth. I mean, people.
But Tamar's story was the second side to the story.
Right. Well, I'm gonna tell you this, guys.
David has said his part. So we listened to both sides and made a judgment. And I don't believe David.
But does it go back to the point of almost like who drops the story first? Because I feel in some cases we usually hear the women's side of the story first. In a lot of these cases. So this is a little different. You know what I mean?
Because story first.
Because then it's like, because is it about man versus woman, or the fact of what story did we get first versus what story we get last?
Next, I think you're heading to my point. The reason why I just brought that up was just as an example of one story, 2 sides, or as you would say, 3 sides. I mean, we can apply this to what goes on like in our lives today, in everybody's lives. Like, no matter the situation, there's always seems to be a story, and then there's 2 sides. I think that like Anton touched on a point when he mentioned, let's just say like social media. It's just like, how often do we see people post things and then all of a sudden they delete it, and then the only thing that we've seen was just like the half end of the story. So there's always another side, even when it comes to like relationships. If you hear somebody was a victim, there's always the other side. We don't know the whole truth. So why is it that people always so quick to jump on one side without hearing the whole entire truth? Why is that?
And that's what I'm trying to say to you, that I don't agree with what you're saying. That people did not jump on David's side.
I'm not talking about that situation. I'm just talking about it just in general.
People didn't jump on either side. They were against, like, it was like a lot of people against Tamar in that situation. So I'm just saying, if we're talking specifically about that, same thing with Meg and Tory. There was people who was like, Megan is an Amazon. She's Megan the Stallion. That's a man horse. She's overpowering him. And look how little he is. There was so many narratives. So you can paint the narrative however it's to me, it's who people you decide to follow. If I follow a lot of people who are pro-feminist movement, who are this, that, and the third, I'm going to hear more narratives centered around that. And if
you don't follow a bunch of people that's not pro-feminist, you're gonna still hear the old
that's not true.
The narrative subjected
based
off of what's supporting in women.
No, Anton, and that's not true. I'm pretty sure you have tons of shows that support your narrative, and that's why you follow them, because they support your thought and your process. And that's what it is. And the same with JR. And you can find any means to justify any thought that you have in your brain now. So if you want to, like, have sex,
go on any subject
that supports
go on any shade room comment, any shade room post, and scroll up and look at the comments. And I guarantee you that the overwhelming majority of the comments will be in support of whatever the narrative is that's slanted towards women.
I guarantee it won't.
Go
and
look at comments.
Look at Tamron Hall's like her actual video that she posted of Tamar, and look at the comments underneath that. And I tell you that people are split. And I'm going to tell you this as a top fan of Shade Room. You know how you get those little top fan badges? That I swear people are split. I am not just saying that. I'm telling you that people have different opinions. You put people in a box based on their gender,
but you just
their lifestyle. People are
just prove my point. He's the victim, but they're split, and the man is the victim.
But
however, if the woman was the victim, there will be an overwhelming
No.
majority of support in her corner. And for you to ignore that
Absolutely.
just shows your own bias. It doesn't necessarily change the narrative at all.
It's JR's point was that people were on one side when David reported it. And I am telling you that that's not true. But if you want to believe that, fine. I don't care. I'm just telling you guys, as a person who watched her reality TV show, follow all of the Shade Room comments, and watch the Tamron Hall show today.
Like,
I
think I was just talking about the norm. I was just talking about the norm.
He's not talking about that specifically.
I just kind of use that as an example, and I can understand why you might want to focus on that point. But just overall, when it comes to men, when it being victims, like men are victims, and I just wanted to highlight that.
They are.
Men are victims sometimes. It's not all the time, but there are some cases, and I just want people to understand, to hear both sides of the story before you quick to judge what the outcome is.
I don't think we should discredit any victim. A man can also be victim, and I don't think that you should discredit any victim. But I do think that we have to be careful when we talk about reality stars and entertainers, because they do a lot of stuff just for
like I wasn't necessarily focusing on their story. But I think that
reality stars.
I mean, outside of the reality story, I think we can pull something from it.
Yeah.
Like whenever I get information, I just take what I need from it. It could be the most outrageous story whatsoever. I just take what I need from it and I keep it moving. I don't even have to respond. They could just be lying to my face, but I might take something from that lie and apply it if I see it as a benefit towards my life. So that was just the whole point of me bringing that story up, is that if their situation is false, okay, the situation is false. But we look out there in the world, there are a lot of men that are in those situations that they do get overlooked as victims. And that's what I wanted to highlight. That was the whole point of it.
It's the societal pressure to be masculine and be overly, I don't know, men feel like they shouldn't report it, or maybe they are
wrong again.
Yes, and they're embarrassed.
Wrong again.
Yes, that's the truth. It's just the reality of it.
I don't have to be any less masculine in order to get support when somebody does something wrong towards me. That don't have no factor in whether or not that I should get the benefit of the doubt, or if you should look at both sides of the story when it comes to me reporting what it is that happens to me.
But it may impact their decision to report it. That's what you're not listening to.
He reported it, and they were still split about it.
To report it.
He reported it, and he was still split about it. What does that have to do with his masculinity or reporting?
He got the order of protection.
I don't know. I think
they changed the narrative again.
Oh, go ahead, JR. I mean,
I'm not gonna say that. What you about to say?
But I thought it wasn't about that. But when you support your narrative, you go back to it. But not when I don't understand. It's like it's not about that. But as soon as
because it's never enough. It's never enough for JR to make the point and say we need to look at both sides of the story. Then you come behind him and say, "Well, it's because men ain't reporting because of masculinity." And it's like, no. That's the end of it.
Are we talking about Tamar and David, or we
the end of the narrative is that we need to be fair on both sides. It has nothing to do with the extra in order to create this narrative that men need to do anything differently than
men need to report.
We're not going for that no more, fam. Like we gonna address this head on. We gonna deal with it, and I'm not letting my fellas be in any other position other than a position of power when it comes to fairness and doing things the right way. We not having that no more.
Well, then they need to report it.
No, okay.
Okay. They failed to.
All right, y'all. We're gonna close that one on now. Anton, you said my mic sound low? How it sound?
No, you good. You good, fam. You sound good.
That was me. Who put that?
All right, that was you?
Somebody in the group said that.
Oh, okay. Well, whoever said that, hopefully I sound better now.
Tell them to turn their volume up.
Yeah.
Tell you.
I'm like, I sound low. I'm like, damn.
Well, it's not that you necessarily sound low. I think that you probably sound lower than we do. I'll put it like that.
Yeah, you do sound low though.
JR, he likes to give us that tone,
I just thought that was your podcast voice.
It's a little lower.
I thought it was a podcast voice, because then you lean back and you ask us the questions. I had just
No,
observed
you
that.
sound
That's
regular
all.
now. Like when you're talking into the mic directly, you sound.
Yeah,
sound
sound better.
This is regular. That right now he sound regular. Yeah.
Okay, so this is much better.
This is much better.
I'm trying to get that Barry White.
There you go, Barry
Yeah,
White.
there you go.
Get it.
Whispers in the dark. All right, y'all. Give me 1 second. Hold on. 1 second. 1 second. Move on to the next topic.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
You say words like, oh gosh.
I'm sorry. I thought I was on mute. You know how you think you're on mute?
Who use words like gosh?
I use words like gosh.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Oh gosh.
I don't even talk like that. I don't even think I can't think of the last time I used the term gosh in a sentence.
I like it. It's a good alternative.
It's just like saying like bummer or something like that.
Come on.
Come on, man. Gee golly. Gee golly.
No, I don't talk like that.
No. I would never.
I can't relate.
My volume up. Tawana and B Nix is blowing out. Oh, okay. I don't know what he's saying.
What about my voice? Anybody said something about me?
No, they didn't say anything about you guys. It just said.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I sound the same.
Well, somebody said, JR just got a smooth groove voice. Go ahead and post that statement, JR. That was a good one.
Yeah.
They said you have a smooth groove. All right.
All right, then. Let's get the show rolling.
I like it.
Yeah. All right, y'all. If you're just joining us, welcome to Lapeef Let's Talk. That's right, let's talk. Moving on to the next subject. Self-deception. Self-deception.
Hey, you gotta give me an example with that.
You know the
I
building.
need like what is it, a topic sentence to start me off with that one.
All right, I'm gonna bring y'all into a little something. Humans are the master of self-deception. We fool ourselves into believing that things are false, and we refuse to believe that things are true. We lie to ourselves about the smallest details, such as how much we ate today, our height on our driving license. I'll have one glass, knowing we're going to drink 4. Or what about, I never had sexual thoughts about anyone except my spouse? Because that wouldn't be right? We lie about our most important life choices, such as why we married who we married, or a certain career path. We lie to ourselves because we don't have enough psychological strength to admit the truth and deal with the consequences that will follow. If you look at this photo right here. It's hard to look at this photo and think liar. But our self-deception tendencies start here. From a very early age, we start observing and making conclusions about ourselves and our environment. Right or wrong, it affected who we are today. So my question to you, Anton, is how do we understand our self-deception?
Say that last part again. How do we understand what?
How do we understand our self-deception?
The ironic thing about this subject is that whenever I have conversations with people and I'm talking about anything, it doesn't matter what it is, and the subject matter can expand or extend to so many different things. Obviously, as you illustrated in your example, it could be relationships, it can be our own personal biases about each other, it could be our own personal perspective of how we see ourselves. The thing that I always come back to about self-deception is that it's always somebody else's fault. It's always a reason why, whether it be, you're not successful in life, so it becomes the system's fault. Or, I'm not what I need to be in my relationship, so Why is the narrative painted that I need to be monogamous? Like there's always a narrative that allows us to be able to look out the window and point the finger instead of looking in the mirror and pointing the finger. So I think that self-deception comes from a couple of places. It comes from a space where we want to be accepted. And then secondly, it comes from a space where we want to make ourselves feel better about not meeting expectations or not living up to our full potential. And that doesn't matter what realm we exist in. Like I said, it can exist in relationships. It can exist in our own personal financial future. It can extend into, regret as far as a relationship that didn't last outside of something that was romantic. So for example, if my parents didn't necessarily raise me right, I can use that in a deceiving way as an excuse for why I'm not where I'm supposed to be later on in life. It allows me to be able to not take ownership and personal responsibility of my own circumstance and situation. But the question then becomes, at what age and at what point in your life and at what point in a relationship and at what point in this circumstance do you say, I'm no longer blaming everybody else. I'm no longer looking at everybody else in the system and, what they did to me as a factor in where I am and what, how I see life and how I play things out from here on out. So I think self-deception, again, it rests within those two realms, blaming somebody else so that I don't have to take accountability and making ourselves feel better about where we are in life so that we don't have to own it.
Be next. How do we understand our self-deception?
Um, I think we have to get to a space in which we know who we are. And I think a lot of times we don't know who we are. We kind of create this persona, right? Or we create this almost something that we aspire to get to, but we're not there yet. So we try to adopt what we think is, cool, or what we think that will be well received. And we present ourselves in a way that we're not. Like, let's say if I wanted to be a dope boy or something like that, or like a street dude, like we live this persona. And I think that really is kind of almost like I don't know. I almost feel like I'm not trying to pick on just myself and black folks, but I feel like I see this a lot, like with black folks, that we do adopt this character, right? That we feel that how we supposed to be or what we supposed to be or who we supposed to be with, but really we don't really know, and we try to act it out. We try to act hood when we not hood. We try to act street when we act not street. We try to act smart when we not that smart, at least in that particular category. We do things right where we purchase clothes and cars and talk a certain way in order to feel that we're meeting a need, like we're filling a void. And it really speaks to the vulnerability that we have, that we don't know who we are, but we feel we have to be this way. This happens like, when we get into relationships where we create this persona and we get into the relationship, and then it becomes like, you get fact checked, you get exposed, right? And we find out that you're not who you say you are. And I think this deception is like, at a certain point in time, you got to realize, like, who are you really? What's your strengths, what's your weaknesses, what I'm good at, what I like, what I don't like. But there's no age limit to this. I think that there's a lot of people that, you mentioned JR just showing your picture when you was a toddler. It's one of those, like, we can say like, hey, it starts there because we want to be cool, we want to be accepted. And I think that's the part where we live in this space where we still are trying to be accepted. And the only reason I mentioned like black folks, because we still try to be accepted in this popular culture, right? And we feel that we have to be accepted by people who are black or not black in order to be able to validate who we are in this society. And it perpetuates this level of deception that we feel that we have to be this person. But really, are we being our own person, or are we being a type of person that we feel that will be well received? And then we get lost, in which I think is truly a lot of people that are truly lost of who they are, and they walking around here aimlessly. And they're aimlessly having babies, they're aimlessly, selling dreams, because we think that's what folks want to hear. But until we get to a point to really have our, our feelings hurt, to have that reality check, I think we're going to continue to perpetuate these characters and these stereotypes that we have for our own selves on how we're supposed to act.
I know we just talked about Tamar, and I think that transition, this topic transition right into the situation when we talked about self deception, and I felt like Tamar was the perfect person for this topic because I feel like she has a lot that she needs to deal with herself. She's projecting that energy out on everyone that she's with for the most part, but I think that she has some things she has to handle herself. And I will also use my oldest son for an example. I had a conversation with him, and I feel like he carries this energy around. And one of the things that I struggle with him with is accountability. Is that whatever he does, he doesn't want to hold himself accountable. And what I told him was that if majority of the people are saying this about you, or you're getting the same reactions, or you find yourself in the same situations, then maybe it might be you. And it's hard for some people, including my son at the moment, to understand that it might be you. And I've come to the realization that I feel like some people might not get it. I've had a conversation with somebody, and I felt as though I can't reach this person. Like no matter like what I say, maybe I'm not the person to reach them. Maybe it's going to take therapy, but would they even get to therapy? That's the question. But I think that I've been blessed to understand, and I'm not going to just say it's everybody else. I use myself as an example. Often, I may do an action. I'm not going to say I'm perfect, but I think that one of the gifts that I have is that I'm able to step outside of my body and analyze my own self, my own actions, and understand from the other person's perspective, and then be man enough to apologize or to understand if I was wrong in that situation. And I think that a lot of people can't do that. I don't know if it's a skill. I don't know if it's a blessing. Whatever it is, they just can't do it. And I understand that some people will never be able to get it. Another example I use is my mother. I have conversations with her all the time. And I feel like my mother is who she is. But I also feel as though I'm going to have to be the bigger person. And a lot of times we have to be the bigger person in a lot of situations because that person may not ever get it. And you just have to just understand that. You may get it 100%, 120%, but that person may not get it. So it's kind of a struggle because I kind of wonder, can people get it, but maybe I'm just not the right person to help them get it? Or will they just not get it? Because there's a lot of people walking around with this self-deception. So I just don't know how to navigate through that. Maybe you guys can help me understand. Anybody? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we hear you just fine. I think you bring up a good point where sometimes you just got to hear it out of somebody else's mouth, somebody that you don't know. A lot of times, I think going back to how you receive somebody, their message, sometimes it's not even the content, it's the delivery of it or who we willing to hear it from. Like, in this moment, sometimes people aren't willing to listen at the time. So that's why I think it goes back to just certain spaces on where you're at and knowing your audience. I mean, it's just, I don't know, Tuan, what you think?
I mean, it's a lot of people. I know we don't like the word toxic, but it's a lot of toxic people that don't even realize that they're toxic. I mean, that word might be a little bit more like relatable to this whole situation. I mean, there are people that are the issue, and they don't understand that they are the issue, or at least they're not admitting it because some people might see it, they just won't ever admit it. But how can we? Like, if you had some advice to give to somebody, like what advice would you be able to give to them to help them to understand? Because a lot of times, a lot of people think that they're right all the time. You can't tell them nothing. They know everything. You just give up, like, okay, whatever, okay, fine, yeah, because they're not willing to listen, which is, I think, is key. So it's like, what advice would we give somebody to try to get them to think like outside of their own box? So
I don't know. What do you think, Tawana?
I wouldn't give them advice.
Why is that?
That's your advice. That's what we do.
They're not open to it, so I don't force my advice on people, and I don't believe that that's a way to motivate or even encourage change in behavior. So that is something that I wouldn't do. Now, when it comes to a child and, you're trying to raise a child in a certain environment and you want to do things, there's things as a parent that you can do to enforce your rules and enforce your situation. But what you can't do is change their view. So even if I feel like I do all these things for my kids and I am the best mother, my kids may feel neglected or they may feel these things and I can't do anything about the way they feel. But what I can do is enforce my rules and enforce my regulations. So it's different with a minor who's under your control, right? But with an adult, I don't force my views on people. And I don't expect a person to think they're that same way I think. And I don't believe in letting people define you. And so I think that has absolutely nothing to do with self-deception, in my opinion. Allowing someone else to tell you who you are and what you do and how you behave. But self-deception is more so you lying to yourself and not accepting who you truly are.
Hey, but do you feel like in some cases it's like people are doing that because they're like something, internal that's going on that they feel like there is a deception? I think I don't want to, it's layers to this, right? Where the thing is, we've all been in a case where we've been like, we use this almost as a mask, this self-deception in order to cover up what's the core issue or what's really going on. I mean, there's been cases I've done that just because it's like, hey, you don't need to know what I really got going on. So it is about deception. Yeah. I'm going to go in, and a lot of us do it all the time. We go into work or we go into a relationship acting like that we're not damaged or that we don't got baggage that we're bringing in on our back every fucking day. So the thing is,
I can't relate.
Is that self-deception or is that time and place?
Actually, ironically enough, I actually 100% agree with you, but I agree 110% with what Tawana just broke down. Like I don't have any kind of rebuttal as far as looking at it from a devil's advocate perspective about what she said and what she broke down. However, I can't relate. I can't relate to what you said, B-Nix, as far as we all do it. It don't apply to me, not even a little bit.
All right, well, you don't got to talk the rest of the show then if it don't apply to you. But for those that do, it does. It's like it's some deep shit that may be going on with somebody that, again, we talked about earlier about this character, this persona, and we live in a certain way, but really it's to mask something. It's almost like how we look at somebody that's an alcoholic, right? All the times we always look at, this person's a drunk, they're an alcoholic, but we never give somebody the space to peel back the layers and say, like, well, why are they drinking? What's the root cause of it, right? What are they trying to cover up? And that's a form of deception because it's socially acceptable to say, like, oh, well, he's just a drunk or he's just an addict. The thing is, we never get to the core of like, hey, what is the true issue at hand? And the thing is, I feel that also can be encoded as deception, right?
Well, I know for sure, just having firsthand experience that like alcoholism can create a lot of self-deception in people because they can honestly believe that they're not an alcoholic at all, that there's absolutely nothing wrong and that they have it under control. And I have just firsthand experience because I have a close family member that is one, and I deal with it every day. And it's like, it's hard you can't convince someone that they need help, like seriously need help. So, it's a fine line between encouraging and supporting. However, like people may think because I drink wine, I need help. But, I may be a self-deception about that because I ain't going to stop drinking. I'm not going to stop drinking. But I'm just
okay. Thank you for sharing.
It is what it
is. But hey, the thing is, you look at, and I'm not the expert with this, but you think about somebody is kind of going through alcoholism. The thing is, like, 12-step program, something like that. The 12-step program is really not about alcoholism. It's really about them truly being able to find themselves. You know what I'm saying? And the thing is, this all goes back to like, hey, if you're not at a point where you're able to reflect and find yourself, then you are acting out. You are like playing a character. But the thing is, you still are not able to get to a point where like, hey, you know what? Is some stuff going on, or you know what, I was faking it.
Well, self-deception is the most dangerous thing you can do for yourself. Let me tell you why, because it's always a hindrance to your growth. It never helps you.
I don't know if that's the most dangerous thing. I think
it's not the most dangerous,
the
but
most dangerous thing you can do is get married without a prenup.
According to what data you got tonight, what data you got?
The most dangerous thing you can do is get married without a
court of public opinion. So in my court of public opinion, that is a very dangerous thing you can do. Is self-deception.
It's like one B, the most dangerous.
I do think that every time I've seen it happen, that it is a hindrance to the person. It's never a help to them. It's always like, okay, well, I don't think I need to change anything about myself, but I feel like I deserve this, that, and the third. Okay, sweetie, but you're going to keep on repeating the same patterns, and you're going to keep on having the same thing happens to you just because you're not changing your behavior. And honestly, self-deception is not accepting other people's reality of you.
Well, I got a question.
So that's not the same thing.
Well, hold on. Before you
you
answer that question, B-Nix, you got to answer the question that was just posed on the screen, though, right? Like, going to work with home problems and home with work problems, I would say that's not being deceptive. That's being professional.
Yep.
So that's a completely different conversation.
It's being able to separate your work life, like balance. It's not deception, is intentionally saying to yourself something different than what you know to be true. So you're lying, you're telling yourself something that you know is really so. I don't think the people who are actually believe what they're saying is deceiving themselves. I think it's the people who know for sure. Like, yeah, I'm definitely
I don't know. Well, I'm curious because the thing is, I would initially agree with you, but then you start to think like, actually, the more I think about the word deception, it makes it seem like it's something sneaky, right, or something misleading. But then
that's exactly what it is.
Yeah, but is it? Yeah, but with that being said, is the aspect of misleading is that are you aware of unaware of your deception?
Right.
That's the thing. There is a case where it's like people aren't aware. Yeah, they aren't aware of this deception or their persona that they're presenting. Or are you fully much aware of it and you know for a fact this is what you're doing in order to work around a bigger issue?
So do you honestly believe that people are so engulfed in whatever persona that they create, that they are in no way, shape, or form at any point in their life when they go home and they go to sleep at night and they lay their head on their pillow, you actually believe that in their mind they don't know who they are? Come on, fam.
I don't know. I think in some cases people begin to believe the lie, keep the lie alive, right?
But come on, fam. But
No, for real. I mean, I don't got no percentages for you tonight. I don't. But I do believe there are people out there that really, they keep the lie alive. They begin to ingratiate themselves in this deception and they believe their own BS.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And they think it's fact.
I know people like that. I think that there's a difference between being self-motivated. Like, for example, if you hyping yourself up, let's use sports for an example. And you like, you know what? Before I go out on this field, I'm the best receiver that's out here. I think that there's a difference between being motivated and trying to hype yourself up and lying to yourself. I don't believe, even as a teenager, as a child, that any person is that deceived and that they don't know that they aren't what this thing is that they're presenting. There is no way, shape, or form. They may think it's harmless. They think that it serves a purpose. They may do it because it makes them feel better. Whatever the reason is, nobody is that deceived and that they don't come to a reality when they look themselves in the mirror and say that I'm different than what I say I am. Fam, you're not looking in the mirror and saying I got a six-pack and you ain't got no, like, come on. We not crazy. Ain't nobody crazy.
I do think that, Anton, people really believe that they're not who you may see them as or who we may view them as. that people honestly feel like, we may see somebody and not think they're necessarily sexy, but that person may be like, I'm sexy, and like it may be their reality.
I don't believe that they believe that.
I'm saying that
how you gonna not believe what they believe? Like, yeah, that's what you said, but you don't even believe that.
Like, for example, I see people all the time lie to themselves and say, no, but I'm healthy. It don't matter that I'm 100 pounds overweight. Like my whatever, my doctor said that, fam, I don't care what your doctor told you. You know that you asked the doctor a question because you don't feel like the thing about going to the doctor is that the first thing that they do is they ask you questions about how do you feel? Like they're making an assessment based off of the information that you give them most of the time.
I don't know. If anything, what is it called? Cognitive dissonance, right? But the thing is, people do like disassociate themselves with this reality of the situation because they do.
Because all the guys is in my DM. Nah, fam, you don't really believe that. Like, you don't believe that you're sexy just because a bunch of, like, anybody can get sex. Like, you're a woman, fam. Everybody is in every woman's DM. Like, that's not an accomplishment.
I think you assume people are like giving themselves reality checks and self-assessments. I don't believe that happens very often.
I don't think that they have to give themselves.
No, because the thing is
I think that when they get ready in the morning and they look themselves in the mirror, they know exactly what they look like. There is no deception.
No, Anton,
that's Anton, you always speak from a very absolute space, a very matter-of-fact space.
Exactly.
The world is not absolute. It's not matter-of-fact. It's not binary.
No, it's not.
Everything in the world, you make everything in the world is a yes or no situation.
It's very black and white. Like, there is no...
Anton, it's not black and white.
Life is not black and white at all.
I just had this conversation with somebody else.
Of course you did.
What we do is we throw extra paint on it to try to make it more gray.
Isn't that deception?
To make ourselves feel better, or so that we can have the conversation and try to reason within ourselves of why it's not black and white. But when you peel back all the layers, and I see that crackhead that's doing a water wave in the middle of the street, you know what I'm saying? Like, he know that he ain't right when that high wear off. But he threw that extra layer of crack on so that he can water wave.
I don't know, man. You don't know what you don't know. And the thing is, I feel like some people walking around here truly not knowing who they are.
When they hide.
You know what? I grew up not living in the gray area either. So I kind of understand where he's coming from. Like, it's very hard to be decisive when you have so many gray areas that you just operate in it. So I don't like to, because like I feel like when I was in that gray area, I had a lot of self-doubt. I was like not sure about my decisions. Like, I feel like, being a little bit more decisive is better. I do agree with that. I don't think that.
But I don't
think that it's the only way to be like Anton, though.
Know what the interesting thing about it, though, is if you sit and you talk to a person that has an addiction, and JR know that, like, I've recorded it, I've documented different journeys and capturing different things about what it's like to have conversations with people that's in that space.
Yeah,
they will be honest with you and say, yo, I do this so that, you know what I'm saying, I can throw that extra layer of protection or that deception over myself. But I know who I am. I know this is my issue. I know that I got a problem. I know that ain't the thing that I am.
You said people with addiction.
Yeah, like, they'll be honest. And maybe it's just the setting that they feel comfortable.
You're saying in recovery.
Other people, their honesty. But man, come on, man. Like, people know who they are.
But I mean, also you're talking to someone like you know who you're talking to is someone that obviously is willing to submit and is able to reflect on what they did wrong. You're talking to people. You're talking to somebody that's already level set on having that way of thinking.
Man.
Some people, like we talk about therapy, right? Some people don't go to therapy because they're not in a space in which they're able to reflect yet. Everybody is not able to operate in that same space to be that transparent. And I get what you're saying. Like, hey, internal locus of control, right? And we all have control over what we do, right? But the external locus of control, the fact that there are people that allows this reality around them to be able to create this current version of themselves and stuff, man.
Yeah, listen, next time you see that crackhead water waving in the street,
Anton, I'm telling you that's not true. Like, I know people who are in addiction phases. You cannot trust anything that is being said, that you have to be on a road to recovery, or you have to be in a place where that is what you're willing to do. That is absolutely false. I'm telling you right now, just from firsthand experience, that I have so many instances and examples of being deceived, blatantly deceived by people who are in that addiction phase.
But they still know who they are. They know they're deceiving you, though.
I don't believe that they
don't believe that they're doing you a service.
I believe
deception. They know that they're deceiving you. They're not.
Yeah, but at what stage though? Are you talking about somebody that's on the, like I think Tawana mentioned, are you talking about somebody that's on the road to recovery, or somebody that is still operating in that space?
Right, so let's go back to, because like I think that one of the biggest conversations around deception lies around weight loss. I think that
okay, all right, I wasn't expecting that, but we could take it there.
Because I think that, you know, when you post in the thing and people start throwing out that lie, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. No, that's BS, because we all had the opportunity. We're going to take the best looking person that we can find. However, that's not true. Beauty is not in the eye of the beholder. Beauty is in the exception of the beholder. People settle for what it is that they need to be, or what it is that they're unwilling to deal with. However, people know, and nobody is naive, but it's one of the biggest things that I see people projecting deception about who they are, about where they need to be. Nobody is crazy. Nobody is I don't care what they tell you. I don't care how much they say, well, I'm BBW. Like, fam, listen, you can say all that you want, but you can't convince me that you wouldn't be in your ideal shape if you can snap your fingers and do it today. You would not choose to still be BBW. That's not true. Don't lie to yourself. Let's stop projecting this level of deception that's continuing to hold us in this state where we can't get to where we need to be. You got to be honest with yourself, fam. And you know who you are. How we gonna solve for this is really the question. How are we gonna get you over the hump? But we can't do that until you actually start to be honest outwardly, so that you can stop crying when you go to bed at night that don't nobody want you. We don't want to hear that, fam.
Well, hey, you know, if we're talking about body, then if somebody like go to pay for a surgery, that's self-deception too. It's really
that's having the resources to
it's being resourceful.
No, it's having the resources to try to address what you've identified as the problem area. So you're.
And what about somebody that has like weave, like even like men and women? Because men wear weave too. Is that self-deception? Where it's a persona? So we mentioned about this, right? This persona, is that could define this self-deception?
But deception is not necessarily doing things differently. Deception is lying about why you're doing things. So for example,
I mean, people lie about surgeries. They lie about I got hair, or really they don't. They got old dreads, and really they don't. They bought their dreads.
Like, I think that there's plenty of women that be like, yo, I want longer hair, but I don't want to grow it, so I'm gonna get this weave. I don't think that there's no deception.
But would that be deception?
No, that's not deception. That's not deception.
It's just
at all.
What is wardrobe change?
No, I mean it's just doing what you want to do. But I don't think that they're being.
It's just doing what you want to do because it's a choice. Hey, somebody could be like, "Hey, I'm lying to you," but like that's just I'm doing what I want to do.
If somebody says
who I want to be.
No, but if somebody says, "This is my real hair," right? Like, don't touch it. I don't want you touching it. But this is my real hair, and I got to do that. My family.
Celebrities and people in real life.
That's where the deception
comes I got Indian in my family. So I got
people do that when they like go to the gym and then they just start doing videos at the gym knowing they had, went under the knife, right? But they just act like all that came from just hard work at the gym. Drinking flat tummy tea and all that.
And then having me at the gym knowing I ain't gonna look like that.
But I mean, but see, it's different aspects of deception.
I
So
mean, that-
we
I
all
mean
do it. We
that-
all do it then, right, Anton? Except
Nope,
you.
I don't do it. I don't play it. I don't.
Well,
play
you
it.
one of the few.
You know,
I don't-
Anton, you know, he
I don't have a- I don't
human.
have an-
You know, he ain't no regular human.
Yeah, I forgot. You know, he all about just God, country, and family. God, country, and family.
You know?
I don't think that there is not one person on earth that can say, "Yo, Anton."
Damn, on earth.
Not one person on this earth
Nice.
that can say Anton is anything different than what he say he is. Ain't nothing out of order, out of place. I am exactly what the presentation is, and that's why I say I live my life like an open book. I'm more than willing to show my bank account to people. I'm more than willing to show, like, I take people along the
Ain't
journey.
nobody give a damn about your bank
Yeah,
account.
they do. Because
But
it's a lot of people.
just because people
I
don't say
hate when you bring up like money,
My
man.
point is that
you know, people
there's
say
nothing
whatever they
that I-
want to say.
my
You know.
point is that there's nothing.
No, that's
that
part of
I will lie
the
to you
persona.
about.
You can't validate
There's
yourself based on people and how they feel. Because if you do that, you will be
But
failing.
my point is that I choose to live my life like an open book.
You right, cause y'all want to see my bank account.
Hold on,
Y'all
wait.
don't.
I choose to live my life like an open book.
It'll depress y'all.
I choose to live my life like an open book because
Yeah,
I'm
right.
an advocate for.
Yeah,
I want to
right.
use myself as an example, and I'm an advocate for being absolutely brutally honest about who you are and where you are in life, because I think that is more impressive and the story is better when you show the journey versus presenting a fictional outcome.
You're right.
So
I do agree with that. That one soundbite, I agree with you.
To the right people, though. See, I'm a little bit more private than Anton. Like, I be kind of a little apprehensive about
how we know Anton ain't, like, while we talking about this shit, how do we know Anton ain't being self-deceptive this whole time on this fucking show?
About what?
I grow up with Anton. So the thing is, like, hey, I don't know how authentic this brother is.
We
You know
don't
what I'm saying?
I
don't know what I don't know.
278 videos online.
B Nick,
I ain't watched not one of your videos, brother.
Do you want to hire a private
All my
investigator?
neighbors has been on my stuff telling you exactly what I am.
B Nick, we're gonna hire a private investigator.
We're gonna go ahead and close this
Yeah,
one
please.
out.
I ain't trying to hear about Anton's resume.
We're gonna take
once
that
again.
whole
I'm
thing.
sorry. Every time Anton talk, you always talk about his resume. I don't care about your money, bro.
Yeah.
Unless
It's
you
crazy.
giving out
Some,
unless you giving out donations.
Like I
It's
think
Yeah,
some
crazy.
things,
one
I
to 12.
think
That's
that
my cash
if
app.
you seen it, you would throw up. It's crazy.
like I feel like
Hey, matter of fact, you could just Zelle me the money now.
Tell
Just
me
off
the
the
money
fact-
right now.
Just the fact you got it. Just the fact you got it. Just Zelle. Hey, I'll send you a request.
It's crazy, fam.
man, like I
Send a
feel as
request
though.
on
Hold
Facebook.
on, y'all. Hold on.
You know that, right? You can request money on Facebook. Somebody
Oh,
did
man,
that to
that's
me.
part of Anton's deception. To talk about money. He always starts off talking about revenue and shit.
Hey.
You know what, B Nick?
Hey, y'all. Hey.
I feel like you know B Nick.
Hey. Up on a serious note, we was talking about self-deception, and I know we joking around about the little small things, but there are a lot of people that are going through self-deception and not knowing it. And I just think we want to kind of highlight that. Just be considerate and mindful. If somebody is saying some things, just kind of hear them out, because I just feel as though sometimes we are unaware of what's actually going on within ourselves. So just having an open mind, I think it kind of can go a long way as far as when it comes to like relationships, when it comes to ourselves, when it comes to bettering ourselves. I just think we got to have an understanding that.
Hey, can I disagree? I know this was your closing remark, but
yeah, that was kind of like disrespectful. But go ahead.
hey, I was honest. What Anton used, I was brutally honest. Isn't that how you talk? I was brutally honest.
Go ahead.
What if I don't want to hear folks out, man? I feel like Tawana mentioned this earlier. Like, I don't got the energy for that, man. Like,
that's the problem. That's the problem, Nix. I mean, think about it.
Whose problem? My problem?
No problem.
It's my problem because I don't want because I want to shut down that type of energy.
You don't want to let people
Nix,
dictate who
it
you
may
are.
not be a problem for you, but it could be the problem for the person that's on the receiving end. That's the thing.
Hey, this has to come from within.
YOLO.
Hey,
This my life.
Yeah, they need to,
My life.
because we talked about self-reflection, right? To self-reflect.
Mhm.
That work needs to be done internally
But some people
before you
don't know how to
bring
do
that
it.
to my doorstep.
That's the thing. Some people don't know how to do it.
No, well, see, that's what we talked about with Anton. Are we talking about somebody on the road to recovery, or are we talking about somebody that's still in it?
Some
Like, I
people are
don't
just
want to have the
unaware. I mean,
conversation on the road to recovery because I'm assuming that you're ready now to have that very frank conversation.
that's the
If you're
reason
not ready to
why.
have that
That's the
conversation,
reason why I stress the importance of like therapy. Even if you don't feel like you need it, I feel like it could probably be helpful.
hey, you
I
got to
feel
be ready for therapy.
I
That's why
know
folks
that
don't
I
go
know
to
I
therapy
understand
now.
that.
Everybody
I
ain't ready
understand
for
that.
it.
Let me tell
understand that.
you,
It's a
you
choice.
gotta be
Some people
ready.
look at it. I mean, some people look at it as though it's they're special. It's a handicap uh, type of thing. But you have to get out of that mindset and understand that it can only help you. To speak with somebody. There's a lot of people that have a lot of trauma, a lot of things that happen, a lot of situations that happened when they was younger that made them who they are today. And they don't really see and understand that it's affecting the people around or the people that when they step into somebody else's life, their past traumas and past situations is affecting the relationship that they have within that person right there. So, but a lot of people don't know how to separate it, don't know how to understand it. So, I'm just trying to get people to think outside of their box. And I've been saying this all throughout this whole conversation is that a lot of people are unaware. Just be open minded to the possibility that you may be wrong or you may not be as right as you think you are. And that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm trying to get people to understand. Because a lot of people may come in and they can tell everybody the same story and everybody believe that they are right. But there's that one person or there's other people that may say something wrong with this person. They don't really see the truth, and they see it differently from their perspective. And I think that's key. I think that's the most important thing to take away is that
No.
your thought process may be wrong. So just be open minded to listening to other people's opinions, perspectives. You don't have to do exactly what it is that they're telling you or exactly what it is that they're saying, but just be considerate that they may have a point.
Very interesting, JR.
You don't think so? Not at all?
You do have to be open to other people's opinions, and I encourage that, and I think that is an absolute, good advice that you gave your viewers. But to tell people that they need to consider what other people are saying about them as a reality to make a decision about who they are is absolutely false. And I think what happens when you tell people to do something like that is that you will maybe encourage people to like have more insecurities and more doubt about who they are themselves. Like sometimes you have to validate who you are yourself. You don't need anyone else to tell you that it's wrong or it's right. Remember that there's stories about like people who do the right thing, and there's tons of people who are against them initially, and those people are just really convinced that of who they are and their purpose, and they go against the grain. So if you always follow other people's opinions of you and you always care about how everybody else perceives you, then you will never progress and never. I just don't see how that can help you in any way. That's just my opinion.
I'm not saying that you have to that whatever somebody else is saying is ace. All I'm saying is having an open mind. So I listen to what people are saying. I may not. It's a lot of times I do not want to hear what this person is telling me. I do not want to hear. I swear to. I hate swearing to God, but I don't want to hear what they're saying. But there's also this other voice inside of my head that says, listen to what they're saying. They may have a point. And then after hearing them, there's been times that I've said, you know what? Maybe I was overthinking the situation. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe my tone was, to them, maybe it was aggressive. I just think that you have to be open. That's the whole point that I'm trying to say. You don't have to.
Oh yeah.
You have to consider what they're saying because what they're saying could be some bullshit. But somebody that's able to see like both sides of the situation, I think they always have the advantage.
Right.
Whereas though a lot of people that's out there now, they can't see that. You could talk to them. I had conversations where I feel like they didn't see it. And it could just be that particular conversation or it could just be them.
Yeah.
I've had conversations with some of you guys on the podcast right now, and I feel like you guys wouldn't hear me. And I just kind of gave up. It was just like one of those things, like, oh, they remind me of my mother. They just not gonna never get it. They are who they are. So I just think that the best advice that I can give somebody that's listening is just be open minded. If you a stubborn person, you got to drop that. You can't be like that. You got to be open minded to hearing what they're saying, because all along you may be trained to think in your head that this is the right way, but that's only in your head. What about the majority? I'm not saying the majority is right, but if it's not working, if you finding yourself in the same situation time after time, it's probably you. If it's the same result every single time, it might be you. And you got to be open to that. That's the only way that you're gonna be able to curve like your energy towards that situation. If you want a different outcome, you might have to adjust what you're doing. And that's all I'm saying.
I agree.
All right.
I disagree.
Damn, Nick, I wasn't expecting that from you. Why you disagree? I'm just curious. We're gonna close this shit out. Why you disagree?
Everybody got their own journey. And the thing is, maybe the audience, maybe I'm not part of the audience in which you're presenting that to, but I feel like, hey, you have to go down that journey by yourself. You could have, supports along the way, but if we're still staying true to the self-deception, you need to go figure that out. You need to go on that journey to find out and to dig as deep as you can on your own.
I
it's a journey of one.
Nick, I understand that point.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I felt like with my mother, when the example I gave. I feel like she's not gonna never get it. If she get it, it'd be like a 0.9% chance she'll get it. But she's gonna have to figure it out herself. And I agree with you. Some people, if you tried, depending on how patient you are, depending on how much energy you want to put towards the situation, you might just say, fuck it. Like, I'm not about to keep going back and forth with you. It is what it is. If you figure it out, fine. If not, fine. I'm gonna live my life. You go do what you do. And I get that. I agree with you to the extent that everybody's not going to get it. They might have to go through that rough period, and maybe they might figure it out. But there's also a possibility that they may never figure it out, or at least while you're alive. Maybe they might figure it out when you're gone or something like that. But that's just the reality of the situation. All right.
Yeah, I agree. It's the reality of the situation that just what will be, will be. I feel like all of us, all four of us on this call, like, hey, we all got our own journey where we got into where we had to go through that journey to figure it out. If I'm there giving you the instructions on everything you need to do, you're going to tune me out. You won't hear it. And we do this in life. We do this with parents. We do it with relatives. We do it with significant others. It has to be that person to individually identify what's the issue, I'm always saying, what's the root cause, what's the resolve, and then how I'm going to convert this into an actionable outcome.
I think you should always be true to who you are, and you should always be respectful, and you should make sure that you understand that, but also stay committed to what you need to do and the right direction you want to go in your life. I think that people can truly make you hate who you are. And I think people can truly be more overcritical of you as an individual. And I think that you, as you have to give yourself some grace. And I don't think that you should always allow other people's opinions of you to define you. That's my opinion.
We all got a path.
That's right.
All right, that's time. Final thoughts.
I don't believe in not subjecting yourself or saying people shouldn't be overly critical of me. I embrace every single thing that somebody says to me because I look at it as an opportunity for, if somebody is giving me something that's going to actually help improve my life, I don't look at it as being overly critical. I'm able to separate myself and my feelings from what makes sense, and I move forward based off of logic, not emotion. I don't care about being true to myself because the person that I am today is going to be completely different from the person I am 10 years from now. So when I hear people say be true to yourself, honestly, I hear gang members say it just as much. They be like, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm being true to myself. Yeah, okay, that's cool. I'm looking for growth. I'm looking for progress. I'm looking for honesty, and I want to surround myself with people that's gonna actually add value to my life, and that comes from that perspective, not from subjecting myself to somebody that's gonna actually make me feel better about myself. So I guess we all got a different perspective about it.
Yeah, but it's all good.
You're damn right. I need to be around people that's positive about me. Fuck the people that's talking crazy. No, thank you. I maybe in my next life I want to hear
All right, well,
people be
hopefully,
negative my whole life. No, thank you.
hopefully one of these perspectives, if not all, will be able to help somebody out there that's listening. So that's gonna conclude that topic. We're gonna move on to the next topic. Let's take a little 2-minute break real quick, and then we're gonna resume to our last and final topic.
Man, I'm gonna start eating before we do the podcast, man.
This one actually shorter.
Nah, I'll be hungry as hell, man.
You don't eat?
Hey, y'all don't be hungry?
fam? No.
Huh?
You gotta eat beforehand.
That's because you keep eating all that oatmeal.
No, I switched it up. I'm not doing oatmeal no more. I'm just doing yogurt.
Oh, so
Greek yogurt.
You did listen.
Huh?
So you did listen.
No, I didn't. I talked to my trainer.
But you listen to somebody.
Yeah, not you.
Yeah, I planted the seed. I planted the seed for the conversation.
You didn't.
You don't have to admit it. It's okay. I just want to see you win.
I mean, it's different stages we're going through.
Did you eat lunch though? Did you eat lunch, B-Nix?
I don't eat lunch.
No. We want to hear B-Nix continue to be
you only ate
himself.
breakfast?
We want to continue to see that.
Yeah, I do this all the time. Just work through. I literally have been in meeting. I just work. I mean,
just workaholic. Just workaholic.
Yeah. I ate I think eggs this morning and some turkey bacon. That was the last time I ate. I cooked. I didn't eat. The show started, so I didn't get a chance. I didn't plan it out.
Come on, man.
But I do this all. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if y'all like that, but I'm one of the type. I will work straight through. I don't go to lunch.
No. My man is like that though. He does the same thing.
Yeah.
I'd be like,
normal.
He's a workaholic. Like that's what they do. Yeah. That's what
I forgot. Anton eat all 3-course meals
every day.
Like,
I'm actually in alignment with you on that. Like, I like that whole. I think that people eat too much, and they eat too many times in a day, and our bodies are not built for that. Traditionally, we aren't like that. That's the whole idea behind ketosis and ketones is that you allow your body to go into a fasting state that allows it to burn it the way that it's supposed to. And we're actually not supposed to eat 3 times a day. We're supposed to eat a lot less than that. I'll just say that.
So do you have those ketosis? Like I had those strips to measure when you were in ketosis. Like it was cool to see that because your body is literally constantly burning fat while you're in ketosis, but you have to have a healthy diet. It can't be.
Yeah. Well, it depends on your intake.
It can't just be you starving yourself, right?
Well,
like literally.
Yeah, I know that's necessarily, it's kind of wrong, but the thing is, it's all about your intake. Because the thing is, I still try to eat foods that have like little to no sugar. But the thing is, like Anton's saying, your body burns, but it's burning sugar. So if you eat a lot of sugary foods, you never burn fat. You just burn the sugar out your system. And then we see people go to the gym and they ain't losing no weight.
Sugar is bad, absolutely. The less.
But I mean, but think about how much stuff we eat that has sugar or equivalent like a fructose or something like that.
But you see how objective I am, B-Nix? I can give you credit where credit is due, and then I'm gonna come down on you like your parent.
Oh well, I ain't gonna give you none of that. It's just like I heard you talking. I mean, I ain't.
Are you really objective?
Yeah, I just gave him credit. When he said it,
I didn't ask for your credit though, nor did I want it. I started talking. If you wanted to agree with what I said, that's cool with you.
I wasn't looking for your validation in the credit.
I wasn't looking for nothing in the win column either.
I'm objective because I'm an objective person. However, like I said, that allows me to be able to come down hard on you as your parent.
One, damn the parent stuff. For one, you the type of person you want credit. You want to see. You said you being objective, and then you're attention seeking where you want to get credit for agreeing with me. Who cares? Who's keeping score?
No, I don't want the credit for agreeing with you. I want
you keep score.
You to do it in the first place. That's the difference.
No, you didn't tell me to do nothing for one.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did.
No, you didn't.
I did it at the table at Tao in Chicago.
He had been already on the path
No, he didn't.
I
He
already
said he
told
was
you
gonna
what
be,
I was
he
doing.
said he was eating oatmeal 3 times a day, and he was
Yeah,
gonna keep
but the thing
doing
is, I
it.
already told
And
you.
I
Like, see,
said, no, you're
no.
not.
So the thing is, you
need
didn't
to
hear
do
the
it
whole
differently.
conversation. When me and Tawana was talking, I said I hate oatmeal, and I never used to eat oatmeal, and this is what I'm doing right now. See, you didn't hear the whole fucking conversation.
I
So
didn't
don't
have
sit
to
up
hear
here
it.
and tell. No, you
I'll,
see that's you're not here. See, you cutting me off, so you don't hear it now. But you didn't hear why I said I was
He
eating the
had
oatmeal.
already been on the path. He had already been on the path. You didn't enlighten him. I'm telling you the truth.
Tawana, listen, you don't want to continue to support his narrative because he feels better when a woman is in his corner. However, he needs that tough love from an alpha male that's going to help him
I
to
take no
understand that this is
criticism
what he
for that.
needs in order to be
As a
successful.
Hey
woman,
man, can we start the show?
I take no criticism for that.
Can we start the show? Cause hey, buddy ass, man.
Listen,
Hey,
you need an alpha male.
no, you not. We not friends, bro. We not.
That's
We just
okay.
we're
Listen,
coworkers.
I'm
That's what we are.
I'm a
We
parent.
work for Lapeef.
It's the same thing I do
We
with my
work for
daughter.
Lapeef for like Wednesdays.
I tell my daughter the same thing.
In which we're not
I'm a
even
parent
we're
first.
contract employees. We don't even
I'm a
directly
parent
work for
first.
Lapeef. So we're contracted in by way of Lapeef on Wednesdays once a week for us to come together.
Yeah, JR, do we work for Lapeef? I want to make sure I understand who we work for. We work for Lapeef. Let's talk.
Yo, what's the last subject?
We work for JR. Do we work? We work for JR. Actually, he's the boss, right?
What's the last subject? Where we going,
He's the
Sam?
CEO.
He's the CEO.
Yeah, he's the CEO. And we just work for this branch of the Let's Talk branch. This is not part of the fashion branch. This is an offset of that.
Welcome to Lapeef. Let's talk. That's right, I said it. Let's talk. We're on to our final and last topic, which is it fair for people to judge what you are doing during COVID? Is it fair to judge what people are doing during COVID?
Is it fair? No. Are people doing it? Hell yeah. The pandemic police. They do it all the time because everybody is home monitoring what everyone's doing. They're probably doing it right now as we talk. So the thing is, it's like, is it fair? Hey, man, it's just what Anton mentioned, the social media world that we live in, man. The social media police. So it's the pandemic police. They're judging where trips you going on, who you hanging out with, are you at home, contact tracing, all that. Mm-hmm. They're tracking your every moves. And then people don't like posting no more because of that.
Yeah, wow. That's exactly what I was going to get. So I had someone reach out to me, and they stated that it's kind of hard for them to post what it is that they're doing. And even when they do, it get heavy criticism, but they don't post as much as they would like to do.
Hey, the pandemic police.
Right, because they feel as though people are judging them. The minute they do one posting, for instance, occasionally I ride with like a bike club called Streets is Calling in Chicago. And never had anybody reach out to me personally, but I've had people that I ride with where they reach out to them and say, hey, where's your mask? You guys are not social distancing. You guys this. And so it was kind of quite interesting because people are so quick to judge when it comes to this COVID, but when they in their own personal situations, let's just say like sex, for instance.
Okay.
There's a time where you can protect yourselves by putting on a rubber, but they don't. There are times when I've seen that you could protect yourself from being foul like that, meaning hygiene, brushing your teeth, putting on deodorant, but you don't. So people are just so quick to judge people about this situation. I get it, we're in a pandemic, but why isn't every aspect of your life just as important as this COVID? Me and Anton had a conversation about, I do believe it's a personal choice. And for instance, you may have family members that come over and have a small gathering at your house.
Yeah.
Who's to say that they wasn't around anybody that was asymptomatic and they're carrying, they came directly over to your house as a family member, and now they're spreading it to you guys. You don't know. It's quite hard to 100% try to contain this situation unless the whole world completely shuts down. I mean, everybody would have to just literally sit in their house and not do a damn thing in order to try to get this under control. So to me personally, I feel like it's wrong for anybody to slide into somebody's DM and to criticize them or to come down on them about what they're doing, unless they're in the house, not absolutely doing nothing, not even having no family, not having nobody from the outside coming in, not going to the grocery store, not doing a damn thing. I don't think that you have a right to even address and criticize anybody. That's just my opinion. How do you guys feel about it?
You know what? Let me tell you what I do judge people on. When I'm in a grocery store and we got those little markers and people are not standing 6 feet behind, I'm like, look, now I need you to stand 6 feet. So I have to put the cart behind me in order to keep people from being all up in my like space. They right here. Like, I feel like I can control who I have in my environment. But when I'm out in public, I do feel like people should follow the social distancing rules. And I do think that people should wear their mask. And so I am a little bit more like, oh, she don't have her mask on. So like, I'm not going to go near her. And like, that's just, I'm serious. Like, I unconsciously judge people because I feel like when you're in public, you should wear your mask. And I feel like even when we posted our pictures from when we were at the restaurant, like I had people, my family members call me like, you wasn't wearing a mask? I was like, well, I mean, I didn't take a picture with the mask, but I had a mask on. I feel like people do judge me. And my family like legitimately called me like, do you know these people? Who were they with prior to this? Like, I mean, people are a little bit more conscious. And is it okay to be like, hey, I need to make sure that I'm I'm aware of who is in my surroundings and make a decision not to be associated or not to be in close contact with a person because I fear for my safety. Yeah, I think it's perfectly okay to judge people and to judge based on your own perception of what's safe for you and how you feel and how comfortable you feel in an environment. So yeah, I give people that freedom because I know that I may have a kickback here and it may be a little bit more people than I anticipated. So I always tell people, like, how comfortable do you feel? Like, make sure you keep your distance. And, like, I make sure people put their mask on and stuff. So I'm, like, trying to make everybody else feel comfortable. So that's my opinion.
Okay, so you feel as though it's okay for people to judge. Even though, I mean, well, I'm talking about coming to judging you. You feel like it's okay?
Yeah, judge me. Yeah, my people, they make sure they tell me like you should have had your mask on. Like, I think you should be doing this. And I feel like because I'm around people who are elderly and at higher risk, and also because I have like my son has pre-existing conditions that could really make him susceptible to contracting COVID and could put other people's lives in danger. I'm very conscious about, what I do. And I think that when people see me being not as responsible, they call me out. So I'm okay with, being judged about it. I think that, it's the time where, it's highlighted a lot and people feel like it's super important. And so why not, feel like, hey, I don't want to go to the hospital for COVID during this time. I don't want to be in the hospital. It just doesn't seem like the best place to be at, in this particular time. I just know people who've been in that situation, who've been in a ventilator, who've experienced all the symptoms and side effects of COVID. And I just don't want to go through that. Like, I don't want to go through that at all. So that's just my opinion about it.
Be next. I want to hear your opinion about it. Do you feel like people should just mind their own business when it comes? Let's just say, like you were out. You went to Top Golf, and you posted a picture. Mm-hmm. Somebody came into your DMs and said, "Hey, where's your mask? You guys are not social distancing." Like, how would you feel? Do you think people have a right to do that, or do you feel like they should mind their own business?
Well, you know what I'm saying. Like, can I say I just don't care?
You always say that.
I don't know. I feel like I really don't care about a lot.
You can't say that. You do care.
I don't though. But it's like I don't. It's like, all right, if they was to make a comment That's their comment, man. Now the thing is, do I judge? I would judge the people that's judging me. You know, I'm gonna have something to say about them judging me, but at the end of the day, you know, I almost look at it like being a defensive driver, right? The thing is, the only thing that I can try to control is like my space and what I'm doing. And I'm gonna try to at least maneuver if I feel somebody is around me without mask or not social distance. So I gotta pivot, you know. So the thing is, same thing like if you're on the street, you driving, I can't control the way somebody else is driving, but then I can maneuver in a way I can make sure I can protect myself. Same way, I'm gonna wear my mask. You know, I'm gonna do what I need to do. I'm a social distance. Am I gonna call somebody out that's not social distancing? No, I mean, only thing I can control is me. So the thing is one of those, I need to just take advantage of being able to be precautious, you know, and being in the space where I'm able to maneuver. Now, the thing is, are people gonna judge? Hell yeah. We judge people all the time. That's what we do as human beings. We talk shit about people all the time. I talk trash about Anton all the time, even when we're not on the show. Buddy ass. But the thing is, it's one of those like, hey, same thing with the pandemic. Hey, they gonna talk trash anyway. Now the thing is, am I gonna entertain them and do the back and forth? Nah, I'm not. I don't got the energy for that. But the thing is, like, hey, am I gonna make myself susceptible for somebody to say something? No, I'm not going to do that either. I may post, but it's going to be minimal because I already know what type of backlash I'm going to get. Because right now, social media, the playground in which we operate in, it's the same thing like a celebrity. Not to say anybody on Facebook or Instagram or Snap or celebrities, but folks judge. We just sat on the show judging Tamar and Buddy and David and all that. But the thing is, because they made it available. So the thing is, if I make my posts, my pictures, my video, or my location and where I travel available to the public, then I have to be able to own what may come with that. I give an example. So I went to Florida like a few months back, right? And the thing is, for one, somebody may say, like, man, you went to Florida, because initially Florida, that was the location. But then, we got, I was like, man, we got a guest? Hey, you threw me off with that one, man. Hey, I was like somebody crashing our room, man. Yeah, but it's one of those, like, the thing is, did I post? No, I ain't really post because I ain't want that smoke. The thing is, did it make me feel different? Because, like, damn, I can't post. No, I really didn't care. The thing that I found interesting, like, so the thing is, I talked to my godmother about this, and it's one of those like, hey, if we go out of town, I'm gonna need you to watch kids. She like, depending on where you go, I may not be able to give you your kids back. It was like, who are you to tell me that you can't give me my kids back? Like, well, if you haven't tested a quarantine, then that means that I can't release the kids back in your possession. You're like, hold on, who made you judge and jury? Who are you to tell me, like, I paid you to watch my kids, that now I can't get my kids back? Like, well, did you quarantine? It was like, oh, this is over the top. So well, yeah, I'm judging someone that's judging me.
I'm taking my kids with me because I don't have that time for that. You know?
Yeah, but the thing is, so it goes back to like, I gotta maneuver differently and I gotta pivot a certain way. Now the thing is, do I care they talk trash? No. You know, I'm always gonna say folks entitled to their opinion. Does it bother me? No. But the thing is, like, do people have the right to judge? We do it with everything else. So how's it that the pandemic is off limits, but we judging what somebody wears, how they talk, how they dress, what they didn't do? Hey, to me, if it's on social media and you post it, it's fair game for me to do whatever I want to do.
Right.
That I agree with, though, B-Nix, because like I feel like people who put it on social media, it's fair game.
Yeah. Don't be mad. Don't post it.
You didn't just say period, did you? With a T at the end of it, did you be?
No, I mean, I'm gonna say period. Well, point. All right, is that more masculine?
I just don't want you to say period.
I had no problem with you saying period either.
Of course you didn't. I mean, y'all like bosom buddies.
So what?
Hey, what's the angle? Make it plain for me. Instead of being this, don't be deceptive about it. Just make it plain. Since you a black and white person, just make it plain for us.
I don't want you saying period with a T because
I didn't say it with a T. I know how to enunciate.
You said period.
He emasculates you a lot. I swear.
No, Anton, you try to create this perception. You do. You've been doing it since I've known you. You try to create this perception about me.
He does try to
social media. Now, do I care? Again, you got the right to your opinion, like what I just said.
But
do I have the right to talk trash about you? Yes, I do.
But
the thing is,
you're a man. You don't have to prove yourself.
You a
Like,
coworker.
You are literally a man. Like
You a
Are you
coworker.
everything that a
coaching
man
B-Nix
does.
right now?
I
coaching
seen you
B-Nix?
interact with your children.
Hey,
your wife.
JR, I said
You're a
my
man.
piece. You asked me the question, I gave you the answer. All right.
B-Nix
Period.
is a man. He takes care of his family. He does everything he needs to do. Like, he doesn't
No,
have to
Anton do too.
Speak on
Anton
it.
takes care of his family with his bank account,
Speak on
you know, in his revenue and it's investments and all the other
I'm
shit that
speaking
I
about
don't
you, B-Nix,
have.
because I witnessed your interactions with your
Yeah,
family.
talk
Okay.
What's your
about it.
answer to the
He's
question though? Like this,
dreams and everything.
JR, see, hey, MC the shit. Like, hey, buddy is up. Go ahead, Anton. What you got to say about what's the topic? Pandemic police. Like, love it or hate it. You're on. Go ahead. What's your thoughts? Pandemic
Well,
police.
he already said how him and Anton thought because they talked about it before the show.
Yeah, y'all always talk before the show.
Before
You said
the
it.
show.
No,
we don't talk
that. They were
I knew y'all be
I
going
was
over the
saying-
topics.
all I was merely saying.
Y'all
was
always
that
go over the
we
topics
had-
together. That's
we
why
had
you
it-
always
no.
had data readily available and shit. But he just be sitting on data before the show because y'all already done
Me and
vetted
you
the
be
topics.
blindsided. We don't know
Hey,
what's going on.
we don't even have meetings. We don't even, like, we get a text message before the show, be like, these the topics. That's it. Ain't no meeting. I don't even talk to these people any other after tonight. I wouldn't even see them again until next week.
Right. Like, we don't know what's going on.
Yeah, we don't got no board
They
meetings.
are is CEO. Anton is VP. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying.
Anton laughing because you know it's true. Buddy be
not.
filtering the topics, man.
Wait, Anton be like, nope, I don't want to talk about that. That's too positive. I
Hey,
need to get
low key,
more.
we get a text message like a couple hours before the show, and we get a Zoom link
That's it.
like 5 minutes before we go on air.
No,
Well,
you know what
That's
it is.
equivalent to not having our own dressing room. That's what that is. That's equivalent.
Your
That-
audience. This
Hey,
is what
this
whining
conversation
women sound like.
Like you definitely have been taking Tawana's side this show.
a whole time. Whining.
I didn't know it. It ain't about sides.
Whining.
It's
It's
really
about
not.
perspective.
You guys divided us.
Whine.
I'm just trying to figure out
I
what
haven't
Anton
said, I haven't
has to
said
say.
anything. Right, but you threw me in there. You said it was like me and him against
You on the
and
show, aren't
Tawana.
you?
I'm on the show, but I'm not.
All right
against, I'm not
then. I'm
against
coming
y'all.
at your ass too.
I haven't said nothing. Asshole.
It don't
I haven't
matter.
said shit.
I'm coming at you because you didn't.
See, this is the thing, though. B-Nix
I'm tagging you in.
don't agree with me when he don't agree with me. Like,
when
you
he
guys,
doesn't agree with you, then everybody's against you. When he agrees with you, then it's just like, oh, it's
I know
all good.
because
Hey,
all of you all are
Anton, you up. Pandemic police.
He's
Tell us
the
how you
only
feel.
person who has an open, flexible mind on the show. I'm sorry, he is.
I
He
feel
just
like
is.
I feel like I'm more neutral than anybody.
No,
I
hell
agree.
no, you
I
ain't.
agree.
You
I
are
agree.
the most narrow. Like, you are the reason why our topics are not.
You pick the topics.
Yeah, you the
Oh,
one.
I forgot. Anton picked the topics.
How are you not
And
narrow-minded?
he messages the topics through you.
That's not true.
That's not true.
You know,
That's
you
not
know
true.
the
Can
thing.
you just
about
answer the
whole-
question though,
That's true,
Anton?
though. That's
Like,
true,
hey,
though.
I ain't trying to be on here with y'all all night.
I can't because you accuse JR of something, and I feel like he needs to defend himself.
Yeah.
Oh, let me guess. You're gonna back him up.
So we got
You
a
feel-
courtroom.
You
I don't
feel
know what
empowered.
Hey,
You feel empowered to speak on JR's behalf.
Yeah. I don't know what he's gonna say.
It don't matter. Like
for the
you're
people
up.
Hey, for the people that's watching, I pick the topics. I see what's going on. I feel like what needs to be talked about. I try to spread it. The whole purpose of Lapeef Let's Talk is for us to be able to talk about any and everything. I don't have a niche. I just feel like whatever's going on.
Bro, you ain't got nothing to prove. No, like you ain't got to give us
Listen,
this little
I ain't
feel.
said
Can I say?
Can I
Can I say
finish?
this?
Hey,
though?
Anton, answer the question, bro. Pandemic
finish?
police.
He
Hate it
didn't
or
even
love it.
finish with. Hold on, wait.
Can I
Hold
Can I say
on.
this seriously?
Realistically, JR talks the least out of all of us. At the very least, we can let him finish what he was saying.
Exactly.
Listen, can y'all say?
Aren't you diplomatic? You're such a gentleman.
Can y'all say this seriously? Are y'all comfortable with having a woman's perspective on the show? Because I feel like sometimes the questions are male centered, and you guys are not really open to the woman's perspective, and you do tend to rally around each other's and your opinions. And I think that you tend to
When you say
and-
you
and-
mean
and-
who?
you, JR, and sometimes even B-Nix, but not all the time. I think B-Nix is more aligned with just being open-minded, not necessarily with me. he doesn't align with me because sometimes me and him think different. But I do think that like you guys are like narrow minded.
Hey man, what's the topic, bro? Like, I ain't trying to be on here with y'all all night, man.
No,
Like,
listen,
hey, y'all done
listen.
turned this into like a board meeting, man. Like,
But it is. We need to have a board meeting on the show.
No. Listen,
obviously.
the beautiful thing
then
about
you
this
laugh,
platform.
but you disrespect.
hey, can we just stick to the topic?
But you disrespecting me when I answer my
No,
question.
we're not
No,
doing topics
you
no more tonight.
Accusation.
B-Nick, I feel like they
address it.
disrespecting me not answering my
Hey
question.
man, well you set up
question.
a Zoom call with me after the call tonight, man. Like we ain't got to do this.
Who, JR?
Yeah, he the CEO of this. He the one like creating the topics, man.
I'll pull up in Chicago.
Like I own Lapeef.
I'll pull up.
You know, we're gonna conclude like that episode, but if you guys want to go into after
Conclude.
hours,
Hey, Anton, did you even speak?
Listen.
Let's go.
I thought we was talking about pandemic police.
I'm ready to do after hours because I'm tired of it.
Tawana made this statement.
Are we still on this?
This victimization statement.
It's not a victimization. It's the truth.
You want me to answer it? You can, because
Hey man. Hey JR, we doing topics tonight.
You're not gonna control the narrative of how I answer.
Hey.
Okay, go ahead.
Hey, can I say I don't care? Like, so the show over. Is the show over?
He say he don't care, but he the most emotional person on the whole panel.
I'm gonna stop.
Hey, I am who I am.
I don't care, but I'm so emotional.
Anton, I can hear you. I'm gonna stop the camera, but I can still hear.
Hey, so are we done tonight?
Nope, we ain't done.
I thought we was talking about the pandemic.
We get to that, but the whole point is.
No, ain't no point.
Okay, you don't. All right, well, go ahead. I mean, it don't matter.
It's on you. I already said, hey, Tawana spoke, I spoke, you spoke, Jay done.
You don't want me to address you.
I mean, but that's
you can. But like, we ain't here for that tonight.
It's not.
You gonna be on after hours, B next or no?
No, man. Hey, I'll put in my work for the night.
We need the whole board on right now. The whole board on, so we can
agree.
Straight. And you
gotta be
honest. You gotta be honest.
I'm gonna be so honest. I can't wait.
B-Nix and Tawana.
What? You keep calling my name. What, man?
Tawana's gonna sit here and they'll complain. Yo, it's centered this way. Yo, B-Nix, we don't even know the subject. We don't know what's going on. But then, hold on.
If you ain't how are we gonna know
them? Finish. But then when we actually talk about it and we address it, I don't care. I just want to get off. Like,
I don't.
Fam,
I don't care right now.
Which one is it?
I can leave. Hey, just let me know. Is the show over tonight? Because I will leave.
The show not over right now. It's still going on.
Don't give me the out. Because I'll take it.
The show's still going on.
So the point that I'm making is to address
about the pandemic. Because I think that was the topic.
Well, let's talk about my point in after hours, Anton, if you have time.
No.
Can we just talk about the pandemic?
B-Nix is acting like my ex right now, bro.
Bro, just answer the question, bro. Damn. Hey, JR gave us the topic.
Every
time answer, I answer, you answer. That was it, man.
Bitter, scorned every time.
Bro, just answer the question, man.
Look at him. Just like my ex. Don't want to let you talk.
Bro, what's your point?
I ain't got no point, JR. I ain't got no point.
So we done tonight, right?
No, we're not done.
We are.
We're gonna have this conversation.
About what?
Just what Tawana said. We're gonna talk about it. We're gonna talk about that, and then we'll be done.
All right. What are we talking about what Tawana said?
Right, I want to let her come back on first. I don't want her to just vote because there ain't no point in addressing what she said if she's not here.
So we just gonna sit here?
No, she said she can hear us.
She can hear us?
Yeah, she said she can hear us.
All right, but the whole point is what she said was, well, first of all, just to finalize this whole pandemic police thing, I don't care what nobody think. I post, I move how I move, and I don't move with a mask. I do respect establishments' perspective as it relates to if they want me to wear a mask in order to patronize that business. I can choose whether or not I want to participate and patronize that business, or I can walk away. And that's the beautiful thing I think about choice and how it is that you move. You can do whatever you want to do when you want to, and you gotta, walk according to how the rules is established according to that specific, business. However, as far as social media, I don't even think social media is real to me. Like it don't make no difference. It ain't not one person, because I get all kind of heat from everybody that got a lot of stuff to say. But people see me in the streets. Like I announce and I say where I'm gonna be, and I'll be there. And I have not had one person address me in person and say, yo, you know what I'm saying? This is the smoke I got for you, or this is how I feel about what you said. Ain't not one person said one thing or addressed me in person. So I don't really take social media to mean anything other than people just projecting something that they can't do in real life. So as it relates to that specific subject, I don't really care about what nobody is talking about in social media. But as it relates to what Tawana said, as far as the subjects that we talk about and whether or not I don't want to put words in her mouth, but I'm going to assume that she said that basically she doesn't know whether or not we take the one woman on the panel seriously. And as it relates to that, I take it serious enough to treat you just like everybody else on the panel. So when B Nick say something that B Nix and I argue all the time. We go back and forth all the time. So I don't understand why I got to put on kid gloves just because you're a woman, when the biggest thing that you advocate for or women advocate for is the fact that they want to be treated equal like the rest of their peers.
I never asked for that.
But you can catch. It don't matter what you ask for.
Like, I want y'all to treat me equally. Y'all don't treat me equally.
Hey, what's the outcome of this, man?
Do you want to be treated with kid gloves? Is that what you're saying, Tawana?
I feel like y'all don't treat me equally. I think I want to be treated equally.
Right. So you gonna get this smoke just like everybody else.
I want
JR. Let's take this off, man.
I mean, if you want to get off, B-Nick, just go ahead and cut off.
You hear me, JR?
It don't make no difference.
Let's do it, because we're gonna do after hours and we can talk about this.
Me and Tawana and JR, we can talk about, like, you don't have to keep announcing it. If you're gonna go off, get off, then just get off.
All right, cool.
Well, JR can kind of end it, so we can do it on the right note, right? Oh,
all right. That's okay. now we got it.
Now we in after hours.
Dude, keep whining like a little girl. Like, fam, just get off. Like, you ain't gotta. That remind me of like that person. I'd be like, I'm about to lead a group. Like, fam, why are you announcing it? Like, just leave, yo. Like, why do you keep doing it? Just be gone. Be ghost. You know,
we just had a lot of those announcements, haven't we? We be like,
listen.
They be leaving our group, baby. They can't.
Y'all ever been on Instagram or Facebook and the person be like, they be like, I'm about to be off social media for like, I'm about to quit for a month or something like that. So if you send me a message, tap in. Like, fam, just go. We not gonna keep on begging you to stay. Like, go.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But okay, so you saying that you want to be treated like everybody else, right?
I think that. So to a certain degree, like, I don't get the same level of respect, and it's fine.
How do you figure that?
Because I feel like my opinion's dismissed a lot. I think that I'm often criticized for being super vocal. I am demonized a little bit
by who?
For being super vocal, by you guys, by everyone else. And then I think that a lot of times, especially JR, he will approach me and he'll say that my opinion is because of how everyone else, what is affected by how everybody else is thinking. And I'm like, dude, you don't understand.
Hold on, say that again. I misunderstood that.
You will accuse me of thinking a certain way because of someone else and how they feel. And I'd be like, do you know how vocal I am and how independent I am in my thinking? I don't think you understand that. I think you think that I'm connected to somebody else.
A lot of how you feel.
Anton, I'm gonna address that. Go
okay. Ahead. And I do think that you feel that I'm connected to how everybody else feels, and I'm absolutely not. Like, everybody in my life will tell you how vocal I am, how opinionated I am, and how brutally honest I am. It has absolutely nothing to do with this show. It's who I am as a person. So when you accuse me of stuff like that, I feel like you're not giving me the same level of respect. And you also kind of...
Can we get clarification on what I'm accusing you of again? I'm accusing you of what?
You kind of say that I'm not an independent thinker. Like, my opinions are based on other people's opinions.
Okay.
And you always question my motive and my opinion based on whatever perception you may have from whoever. And I don't agree with that. And I don't think that's cool. So I don't get the same level of respect. That's just my opinion.
I'm gonna be honest. This is new information to me. about what I'm hearing, but the conversation that we've had and we've ever had has been that you felt as though you're silenced throughout the show. And what I've told you is that I just want you to have your opinion. You don't have to carry the weight of every woman that's listening. And I feel as though you feel that pressure that you have to carry the weight as a woman. Because you're a woman, you have to carry the weight of every other woman that's listening. And I just want you to hear your opinion, whether women agree with you or not. That's what I've always stressed to you. I haven't stressed anything to you else that's differently from that. So this is all new news to me. And just to clarify for everybody that's out there listening, since we do have some listeners, is that I just want you to be you, whether the women agree with you or not. That's all that we can ask for anybody on this show to bring is themselves. And if you don't agree with the women, I think it's fine. You may have a problem with it because you feel like you got to carry that weight. I don't have a problem with it. I just want you to be you. However you genuinely feel, whether it's for the women or against the women, just speak your piece to whatever topic that is.
I do appreciate hearing that because I do feel that pressure too. I feel like sometimes women want me to represent all women, and I don't want to even take that on because that is a tough job to have, to just represent every woman in the world. Like, I have an opinion and I do think that it aligns with a lot of women, but I do have opinions that don't. And so I don't want any woman to feel like I'm against women or I hate women or I bash women. And so I struggle with that with a lot of the topics a lot of the times because I don't ever want anyone to perceive me as a woman basher. And I think sometimes the questions box me in where I'm answering them in a way that may present me like I don't favor women and I don't feel like women I don't feel like women are independent thinkers and have a voice and I don't support women. But that's absolutely not true. And I do feel sometimes the pressure. So I do agree with that. I do think that sometimes I feel like I'm not respected the same level, but it could be a feeling. It doesn't necessarily have to be anything that you are doing that anyone on the panel is doing. So
what does that have to do with us?
I respect. I do think, I believe that there is things that are clear indications that that I'm not respected equally, but I'm open to the perception that maybe JR that's not his intention, and I'm hearing what he's saying, and I'm respecting that, and I'm honestly trying to see it from that perspective, and to say that maybe I'm misinterpreting some things, and that I am not being silenced, and I'm not being cut off, and that I need to change my perception. I'm okay with that. Like I'm open, I'm flexible. I don't know if y'all kind of know that about me, but I am a very understanding person and a very like flexible person. And I am open to other people's opinions and ideas. So that is how I am naturally. So I don't know.
I'm just always of the perspective that if somebody wants to be treated equally, then they got to get it equal on both sides. Like I'm not going to take into account that you're a woman when I'm having a conversation with people on the panel. I'm just having a conversation with people on the panel. Now, if I got heat for people, then I got heat for people. And if I agree with people, then I agree with people. But equal means that I'm not viewing you as anything other than just a person on the panel. It has no bearing on what it is that I'm going to say or what I'm going to do.
Well, I don't think it's you, Anton. I think more so the questions are centered on the man's perspective, right? It also a leading question. They also lead into men being the wronged in some way, or women being the person who violated the man. I think that's the problem that I have with the questions. They're not always neutral.
Like what? Give me an example.
The last, I think the last podcast was clear. I feel like let me pull up the topics, because I can tell you exactly, which ones I kind of struggle with, because I feel like, I discussed it, with myself. Let's see. Like where's the I'm trying to look through the text messages, because I don't remember the topics like offhand. I just know, there's plenty of topics where I'm like, come on now, really? What am I supposed to say to this? It's really one-sided.
Okay, so when you get the topics, then how
Yeah.
come you don't say, yo, because it's easy to say, yo, it's slanted. In my mind, they just look regular questions.
I know.
So how come you don't say, because it's not enough to just say they slanted. You got to present a solution. So why won't you say, okay, it seemed like it would make more sense to present it this way, if that's what you're thinking?
It has a lot to do when we receive the questions too. It's not like I have a lot of time to think about it. And we all have everything else going on in our lives. Sometimes it's not hard to it's not easy. So I just always think about how can I change or redirect the question, right? Or how I can present both sides. I don't like to talk about anything on a one-sided perspective. And I think that sometimes the questions are like one-sided. That's all.
I'll tell you exactly what the questions was. Let me know when you're ready.
Go ahead.
All right, so the questions was, the last 3 videos that we had was, is monogamy ruining a relationship? Sexual consent while in a relationship, and they trying to cancel Ice Cube. So I don't understand how any of that is slanted.
Well, it wasn't those particular issues. I think sometimes it's the sidebar that JR asked. Yeah, because sometimes that is the topic, but that's not always the question that's asked or posed.
But JR asked questions based off of real life, what's happening in real life. So, for example, I'll give you an example. So if the narrative is in real life that the overwhelming majority of domestic violence is perpetuated against women, and that men usually in most scenarios is not highlighted even when they do report it, but that men don't really report or have as many domestic violence situations against them. And he asks the question, it has to be addressed from both a male and from male and female perspectives according to the situation. Like, it's not slanted, it's just the truth that females generally get the benefit of the doubt as it relates to domestic violence abuse. So if he asked that question, then it's not slanted towards or for or against women. It's just addressing the current circumstances as it relates to how society perceives the best domestic violence. I don't understand how that's like anything other than that.
It's the questions are centered on men being the victim, though. It's not an open discussion about, hey, do you think this is what's happening in the world? It's more so exactly pointing out or actually, making the woman seem like they are, the aggressor, or it's almost like it puts me in a box, right? Because I mean, obviously, I have to agree that when men are not seen as victims in most cases, right? I have to agree with that, and I think that is an important discussion. But it also makes it difficult when women are, blamed for, actually being the ones that come forward and report things and like have, and I don't want to do that. Like, I want to focus on
why not? I mean, if that's what you feel like,
because I don't know, I don't feel that. I don't feel that. I feel that.
Then address how you feel. And
I don't feel
that.
I
like
don't.
The narrative should not.
The
never
question,
be painted.
the leading questions are the problem, though. That's the problem.
But see, the questions don't matter. The only thing that matters is how you respond to it. Life is 10% of what happens to you, and 90% of how you respond to it. If somebody says to me, Anton,
it only matters that way to you guys because you guys are on the show and you guys are all men and all have the same perspective.
I'll give you an example. If somebody says to me, because they have, and I have participated in other panels, and I do talks, and I get questions and all this stuff, and somebody says to me, Anton, why do men support rape culture? I can look at that in the same way that you look at it and say, why is the question so slanted? Or I could respond to it and say, well, I don't think that that's true. And let me tell you why. So it doesn't really matter about the question. The only thing that matters is how I respond to it. That doesn't change the narrative or what it is that I'm going to perpetuate in my answer.
I think that what you're saying is right, that I had to get better at redirecting. Because what I would do is just like specifically answer the question, and I would forget the other perspectives. And so that was a mistake that I was making early on into the podcast. And I have started to reconsider that now. And I'm thinking about, wait a minute. And as JR has said as well, like, listen to other perspectives and like think about everyone else's point of view. And I do think about other point of views. I do center on how I feel. And I do think that that's the most important thing, is to share my thoughts and my experience. But I do think that now I'm more centered on, okay, yeah, this is the question, but am I going to really just answer this question, or am I going to think on a broader view about everybody, you know, and
You're
about
thinking too heavy into it, Tawana. Like,
yeah, it's not true, because I'm telling you that as the woman on the panel, it's different from you guys, and I don't
gotta
think
stop. But you gotta stop thinking about it as the woman on the panel in itself. Like, forget about the questions or how deep you think about the questions. Like, you gotta look at it as, yo, I'm just answering this as Tawana. You don't have any allegiance or owe any woman, or you don't have to stand up for nobody. Yo, nobody is putting that on your shoulders, and nobody is asking you to do that. It don't matter what the comments are. It don't matter what the narrative is. It don't matter what the conversations are. You answer the question based off of how you feel and your life experiences, and leave it at that. You don't owe nobody nothing.
I feel that, because I feel that the questions pit women against men sometimes, and that's and I always feel like that's not my platform, and that's not how I want to present to people. So I always
then say what you want.
Yeah, well, I do.
But at the same
it took me a while though, because I'm not used to being on like YouTube or podcast. So it took me a while to just understand, like, Tawana, like, make sure that your perspective and how you feel about people is translating, you know. So that is going to be something that I'm going to be more intentional about moving forward. It's just being more intentional.
And then also too, I think you got to understand is that not everybody is, you can't satisfy every single person. It's impossible. I mean, even myself. I mean, I often hear some of my own people say, you don't really talk that much. So I challenge myself to make sure that I speak more, and that it's more of my opinions are incorporated. And it's all just it's all about growth. You know, we all not, familiar with a lot of things in life, but I think that if you keep applying and you keep putting that pressure on yourself, I think that it's going to be a better outcome. So my goal every time is to make sure that I bring my weight, to the table, that I bring value to the table, especially with this being my show. I just feel as though I got to step my game up. I may not vocally voice it, but I just set goals for myself within. I think that's critical, and I think that people listening to this conversation can see, like, this is a real situation, and I appreciate it, because we're not going to never tear each other down, but I think that these are the tough conversations that need to be had, because you generally feel a certain type of way, and people have feelings. We're human. That's what we're supposed to do. But I think that understanding where we could be better is the turning point in this conversation. Not to focus on that we going back and forth. It's the fact that we're human just like you, and we're able to overcome this situation. We're
all having this conversation.
Right. So the whole goal of the show is to bring value and to have these tough conversations that people are not having, and hopefully, we can't curve everybody's attitude, but maybe like one of our opinions may be to help you. So that's the whole goal of this whole show.
I agree with that.
And it's just kind of bring you guys a little bit into our world as far as what we go through behind the scenes. I mean, it's I was always told that you should have a woman's opinion, you should have a woman on the show, and I kind of listened. I tried it out, and Tawana was the perfect person for it. And I think that she's and even though
but to add to that, JR, I championed it too. What do you think about Tawana? And I'm like, yo, she perfect. Yo, let's rock with that. You know what I'm saying? Whatever. You know what I'm saying? So
she he was 1,000%, backing you up as far as bringing you to the show.
Thank you, guys.
And there are people that you have fans. And you got to understand that there's going to be some people not going to be fans of you. There's probably some people, even though it's my show, people not going to be fans of me. And I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
You know, but I just got to keep pushing through, you know, my objective. Like, this is what I want to push out there. And I understand, like, when I first got the thumbs down, I'm like, what the hell are they talking about? What's wrong with them? But I understand that it's going to be somebody out there that's just going to dislike it, and it's fine.
Yeah.
I'm going to still keep pushing out the content. If somebody makes a comment that's not to my liking, okay, I'm going to listen and see what they say. I'm just curious to see what they saying, and I'm just going to just keep trying to grow from that point and see if I can get better with it. So that's just how we got to kind of look at it. So, again, I'm not mad at the conversation.
I like it.
I know Nick's kind of cut out of it, but I think that this was a positive moment for us.
Yeah.
And us being vulnerable, letting our viewers know that we are human and that we are trying to grow this platform and this show to the next level, and understand that, you know, shit happens.
Yeah. I also want people not to think that we hate each other, because I think a lot of people ask me that all the time, like, do y'all not like each other? I'm like, no. Like, we really, literally, we got along super cool. We had a good vibe, and we always have good conversation, and we respect each other's opinion and views and position on the show. So it's not like we hate each other for real. Like, oh, like being anti, like our enemies in real life. We're not. And so I think that that's important for people to see, because I think people think that, and they think like, oh yeah, we like.
I don't think you know what? I don't think that that's the most important thing for them to see.
Yeah, that's true.
I like the fact, honestly, that they think that we don't get along, because what I think that they should take from the show, considering that, right, if that was the case, then they also should take into consideration the fact that it's two things. Number one, we willing to have a conversation. So, for example, the fact that, you know, you brought up this subject tonight, right? And you were like, I don't feel like this. And I think that when, you know, y'all look at, you know, this is the type of pressure I'm looking at from a woman's perspective. It allows us to be able to take in what you say, right? Yeah. And that's the beauty in the conversation, is that, you know, we're listening and you're communicating. And then when you listen and we're communicating, but we're having the conversation. And the beauty in having the conversation is that you're able to come to an understanding. You're able to learn more about each other. We're able to grow, you know, more effectively because we're listening to each other. But when people get to the point to where, even if you have completely different perspectives and you on that side of the fence and I'm on this side of the fence, the fact that we say, okay, we can't talk, I'm out of here or whatever, that means that nobody is going to progress and grow in any way, shape, or form. We don't come to a conclusion. We don't learn about each other. I don't understand where you're coming from. So that's the number one thing. And then the second thing is that, you know, I'm completely different as far as how I think about a lot of things, like from politics to women and relationships over into the narrative as it relates to social media. My whole life experiences creates a completely different narrative. But the fact that we can disagree, sometimes come to an agreement or agree to disagree, but still be able to move and interact with each other and have fun. And when I come to Chicago, like I did this past weekend, and we have a good time, shows that your differences does not make you different. It makes you more alike, because it shows that the human spirit allows us to be able to work through things and look to come to an agreement, or still put aside our differences to be able to embrace the things that's awesome about each other. And I think that that's the things that people need to take away from this whole platform, is that I am not from Chicago. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm able to link up. I went to Chicago because I consider y'all friends, and I never seen y'all before.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't care about where y'all come from or what your political view is or what. Yo, we gonna work through this. I'm gonna learn more about what your perspective is as a woman. I'm gonna grow as a result of it, and we gonna grow together because we gonna learn to embrace each other despite our differences.
Yeah,
that's what people should take from the show.
Yeah, I guess to me, I had to get over the fact that the questions were centered on, like, I honestly, now that I understand what my position is, and like I'm a little bit more comfortable, I have no issues with the question. I think initially I was like, these questions are boxing me in, right? But it's me who's boxing me in because I wasn't learning how to redirect and how to understand like how to explain the other side and other perspectives. But now I'm completely fine with it. And I think that it's nothing wrong with being centered on men. Men need to be highlighted and men need to be understood. And I think that there's tons of shows that highlight women. And a lot of people ask me, why am I on this show where there's three perspectives of men? And I think that what is so important to me and for other women is that we understand everyone's perspective, especially men. Like we need to understand men more. And I think a lot of us struggle with that. And I think that it's important to me. I think the show teaches me a lot about how men think and how
But
men
sometimes we wrong as hell. Like
yeah, exactly.
But we don't even get to the point to where we adapt or we understand that we wrong. If I don't express genuinely how I feel, you know what I'm saying? And then you say, nah, Anton, you know what I'm saying? Because sometimes, honestly, and it's the God's honest truth, sometimes, you know, y'all say something or you may say something, right? And I like absolutely disagree with it. But then when I leave, I'm thinking like, you know what? Because, you know, I edit all the edits and put it out or whatever. And I'll be rewatching the show or I'll be looking at it like, you know what? That did make sense. You know what I'm saying? And so subconsciously and consciously, you know, I evolve and I change and I learn and I grow from, you know, your input and the things that you give. So it's not a thankless thing. You know what I'm saying? It is, you know, you do add value. And it's the reason why JR and I, like, we were so in alignment, not one reservation about the fact that you needed to be here.
Yep.
I appreciate that, you guys. That's great. Thank you. That makes me feel good.
Yeah, I mean, it's like being a mom. Like, you do all that for your kids, and you be thinking to myself, y'all just keep asking and stuff, but you know, they really care. You know what I'm saying? They wouldn't. You add value. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can't look at it always from the outset.
That's why I like when JR be like, nope, if one of us ain't available, like we can't move forward. Like JR is really strict about that. You know, I don't know if y'all know that. He's the strict boss. He's like, nope, y'all all need to be available. He's on time. You know, we got to be on time. We got to do our thing. And so I think that people don't understand like how committed we are to this podcast and like, you know, to our fans and to everybody who supports us. So.
Yeah. And people think that honestly, like, listen, this is just me and B Nix's relationship. This is how we rock. Like, we are like brothers that feud all the time, but you know what I'm saying? But don't say nothing about him to me. You know what I'm saying? You might you gonna catch some smoke.
And I'm the younger sister that gets picked on. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know how the younger sister that's like, okay, and she's emotional sometimes. That's me. Yeah. And I think we all have a role in the show, but we all treat each other like family. Like when Anton came here, when he came here, he was our family. Like whatever he needed, like whatever. We was like making accommodations to figure it out. It was just that Chicago was shut down, but we would have kicked it. We would have like hung out Anton
and y'all already know. I done already said it. If whenever if y'all ever over in Michigan, like I got you. Everything is already laid. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just is what it is. But again, like, I don't think that people take out of this, like, you know, what it is that we do, what's supposed to get out of it. They look at the discussions, they look at the different topics, and they look at us argue or, you know, debate and all of this other type of stuff. But I don't think that they really paying attention. And the thing that people should pay attention to is that when you hear other people, it's beautiful. Like, it's so beautiful to try and understand where somebody else comes from. And that's why I like hearing you talk, because you bring a different perspective, and not just from a woman's perspective, but just from your own personal experience that says, yo, you know, I look at it differently. Like I'll give you an example. Like, a lot of times you reference what you do for a living, right? And we was having a debate about the presidents and you know, what they debate was about. And it forced me to look at funding differently, because you were like, you know, this affects what it is that I do and how I interact with people and the people that I can help on a daily basis. So then I'm like, man, I didn't want to say it at the time because it would have went against the, you know, the point that I was trying to make. But realistically, I was like, I never even considered that. You know what I'm saying? Like, that makes sense. So,
and so you understand, and you actually highlighted that, and I feel like that's important, like you said, because sometimes, regardless of how black and white you are, you have a good perspective, and I think it's necessary for the show, and people need to hear how how you think and what made you successful and how that has like brought you to where you are, because I feel like you are an example of a man who black men should look up to, and JR and
oh,
B.
you're so nice.
Like you guys are all so I wouldn't be on the show if I felt like no.
But you know what's so funny? I don't know if you noticed when we were like talking before the show even started, like I kind of mentioned funding and what I was talking to be, but that's because I was just talking about it with somebody else when I was able to reference what you said the other day. I was literally having a conversation yesterday with somebody about that. As weird as it sounds.
Yeah, you said like, hey, I was just talking about this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It looks like we all are giving our flowers to each other while we're here, huh?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah. So I appreciate that, man. We're going to go ahead and close this out, man. This is Lapeef After Hours. We appreciate you guys for tuning in tonight. I know it's been somewhat of a long one, but we still about the same time that we normally do.
Yeah.
We have our YouTube channel, which is Lapeef Let's Talk. Please
That's
like,
right.
share, and subscribe.
Subscribe.
Also, turn on the notifications on too, because we do drop videos daily, and we don't want you guys to miss out on some of this valuable information that we have to offer you guys. So until next time, we out.
See y'all.
All right.